Chapter 1901. Chen Shang had successfully merged with 7 Chaos Fire Token. At this time, the domain of Hell had become very quiet, and even though most people believed in the Hell Devil Emperor, their heartbeats couldn't help but quicken. After a moment of dead silence, the Hell Devil Emperor released waves of ferocious wild laughter. The moment he merged with the 7 Chaos Fire Token, a large amount of things surged into his mind. The first thing that entered his mind was a map of the interior of a huge palace. There were some roots on it, and then a large number of spirit grains. "It's here," Chen Shang suddenly roared, interrupting Hell Devil Emperor's wild laughter. Hell Devil Emperor and the other gods were startled, as they saw that the Hell Devil Emperor's extremely sturdy domain of hell suddenly shattered, while the sky above was covered with black clouds, and a very large palace was gradually descending from the black clouds. The palace was pitch black, and there were 9 huge black two-headed black dragons bearing their fangs and brandishing their claws. These 9 two-headed black dragons had a golden chain around their neck, connecting them to the outside of the palace. The palace looked extremely grand. Accompanied by waves of blood-colored bolts of lightning, 9 two-headed dragons roared crazily, their loud roars shaking the heaven and earth. Everyone was stunned as they watched the demon palace gradually descend. They wanted to move, but for some reason, they lost the power to move and couldn't even shout out. This terrifying black demon palace brought with it a terrifying and strange power. Black winds blew from the demon palace, and from afar, countless transparent black ribbons of light repeatedly connected to the demon palace. The dual-headed demon dragon roared, struggled, and danced chaotically. It was being tortured repeatedly by some kind of terrifying power that made it wish it were dead. When the 9 Heaven Devil Palace landed, the ground suddenly shook, and the mighty dragon-marked gates slowly opened, letting out clattering sounds, causing people's hair to stand on end. The sky and earth darkened, and when the 9 Heaven Devil Palace's door opened, the crimson-red light that shone out was like a wild demon dancing inside, trying to struggle out, but could not escape and was trapped inside the door. The door was completely open, and it was as big as the gates to heaven. Even if he dragged a huge mountain in, it wouldn't feel small. Whoosh! A gust of cold wind blew from the door, accompanied by a decaying and ancient aura. As the wind blew across the ground, everything turned black, and then turned into black mud. What was even more terrifying, was that underneath the black mud, there was actually a large amount of moving things, and black bone claws suddenly extended out. In front of the door, there were all these black bone claws, and they were all letting out howls. Not long after the talons appeared, many talons suddenly shrank in the direction of the gate, revealing a road. At this moment, black skeletons crawled out from the black mud. Thousands and thousands of these skeletons were lined up neatly, leaving only a path for the gate. Chen Shang swallowed his saliva. This scene was too scary, and too shocking. The god of fortune, war god, fire god and the others wanted to curse, but they couldn't say anything. The Hell Devil Emperor lied to them, saying that Chen Shang couldn't summon the 9 Heaven Devil Palace, but the 9 Heaven Devil Palace was right in front of them. Hell Devil Emperor also wanted to curse, because back then Highest Devil God had told him that the Chaos Fire Token was a secret, but now Chen Shang had summoned it. Although he did not know if he would die inside, he was sure that they had to go in now. When the black skeleton army appeared and lined up neatly, everyone's feet couldn't help but move, and they walked on the road that led to the big gate. At this time, everyone felt that they could move. They couldn't figure out why they had consciously walked towards the door. Chen Shang was at the very front, looking at the countless black skeletons on both sides of him, and he couldn't help but feel goosebumps. He had finally seen the legendary terrifying 9 Heaven Devil Palace, and he was about to enter right away. Hell Devil Emperor, what's going on? Didn't you say that Chen Shang was unable to summon his 9 Heaven Devil Palace? The god of fortune roared, because he had put his life on the line. HMPH, you're just a puppet. So what if you die? What are you afraid of? Hell Devil Emperor snorted disdainfully, as he found it hard to understand as well. Bastard, although he was a puppet, he still had his own ideas. All of you, stop arguing. Unwearying fighting Dan God was furious. If Hell Devil Emperor had let him kill Chen Shang earlier, then so many things wouldn't have happened. Now, not only could he not kill Chen Shang, he had even put himself in danger. The ice dragon followed behind. He wanted to quicken his pace to catch up, but he couldn't, because it was all controlled. I want to let the ice dragon leave. Chen Shang had this strong thought in his heart, because he felt that he could form a connection with the 9 Heaven Devil Palace. Just as this thought appeared in his mind, the ice dragon suddenly flew into the air. What's going on? The Hell Devil Emperor and the rest were also very surprised by how the ice dragon could fly. Chen Shang said to the ice dragon, "Senior Ice Dragon, leave the super god restricted area and tell them to never come near here." The ice dragon suddenly understood that Chen Shang was the one who told it to leave. In the blink of an eye, the ice dragon was sent away by a wave of energy and disappeared. For Chen Shang to be able to control the 9-Heaven Devil Palace, they were even more furious. Chen Shang sneered. "I can make them leave with just a thought, but why would I do that? To tell you the truth, there's a high chance that I would die if I enter the 9-Heaven Devil Palace, the same goes for the rest of you." "You," Hell Devil Emperor roared. He wanted to kill Chen Shang with a punch, but he couldn't circulate the energy in his body. Just like this, they stepped into the 9-Heaven Devil Palace step by step. The gates of the 9-Heaven Devil Palace did not close as well, and the army of black skeletons turned into a cloud of black smoke that rushed into the 9-Heaven Devil Palace. The 9 dual-headed demon dragons in front of the gate had also become very quiet, crawling on the ground as if they were sleeping. It became quiet again. There was not even a breath of wind, and the black clouds in the sky had already scattered. The sunlight was shining on the 9-Heaven Devil Palace, but it still gave off a creepy feeling. The ice dragon was already far away from the 9-Heaven Devil Palace. While it was floating in the air, he could see a black dot on the wasteland in the distance. "Don't go over." The ice dragon arrived at the entrance of the super god restricted area and saw a group of people rushing over on flying discs. It hurriedly shouted and flew over to stop them. Of course, devil-killing heavenly god recognized the ice dragon. He felt that it was a little strange, because in the past, the ice dragons were always with the god of fortune, and the aura the ice dragons released was also very strong, causing devil-killing heavenly god to secretly become vigilant. "Why?" devil-killing heavenly god asked. 9-Heaven Devil Palace. Chen Shang summoned 9-Heaven Devil Palace out. The ice dragon said solemnly. Chapter 1902. After devil-killing heavenly god and the rest were quiet for a while, Huang Jintian, who was standing at the side, started shouting, "This little bastard, I've warned him 1,000 times not to do such a foolish thing, he's still going to do it." He retorted, "Ice Dragon, why did you come out? Those who have seen the 9-Heaven Devil Palace, most of them want to go in. Are you out of control of the god of fortune?" The ice dragon nodded its head. "I have awakened the memories from that year, my strength has recovered by 30%, and I have escaped the god of fortune's clutches. Right now, you can see the 9-Heaven Devil Palace from high up in the sky, and as long as you don't go near it, you won't be thrown in." Wang Jinshi sighed lightly. If we had been a little faster, Chen Shang would not have walked this kind of dead end. Standing beside Wang Jinshi was a handsome middle-aged man with stubble on his beard. His clothes were tattered, but his entire body was filled with an arrogant sort intent. "Great, I wanted to go to 9-Heaven Devil Palace to have a look. Let's go." The middle-aged man laughed, and was about to rush in, but was stopped by Wang Jinshi. "Dad, you just came out of divine prison, do you want to be trapped inside again?" Wang Jinshi said snappily. This middle-aged man was Wang Jinshi's sword godfather. Zhu Chao said, "We should discuss it with the penalty heavenly god, whether we want to go in and take a look." Previously, Zhu Chao and his wife had gone missing, but now that they had returned, it gave the devil-killing divine palace and the rest a lot of strength. Adding that to the sword god that had escaped from the divine prison, their overall strength was terrifying, and they were not afraid of the Hell Devil Emperor and the others at all. "What's going on inside?" Feng Yuji suddenly appeared, and she came together with LV Kilian. "Chen Shang has summoned his 9-Heaven Devil Palace." Devil-killing heavenly god recognized Feng Yuji and knew that their relationship was not bad. Back then, when Feng Yuji was chased by the pill god, he had dodged it at devil-killing divine palace. Feng Yuji heaved a long sigh. "So it's like that, no wonder I had such a feeling." LV Kilian's face changed. She and Chen Zhang's relationship was not ordinary, she loved Chen Shang a lot and she had definitely heard of the 9-Heaven Devil Palace before. "I want to go in." The usually calm LV Kilian had actually made such a brainless decision. "No." Feng Yuji immediately grabbed onto her tightly. "Don't worry, since Chen Shang is able to summon out the 9-Heaven Devil Palace, he will definitely receive some guidance." The ice dragon continued, "Before, Chen Shang had planned to summon them, but at that time, he was afraid that the god of fortune and the others would run away. When the Hell Devil Emperor came, he told them that Chen Shang did not have a supreme god bone refined by the 9 divine kings, so he said that he would not be able to summon the 9-Heaven Devil Palace. Feng Yuji said. Because he has Supreme God Bone on him, the 9 Divine Kings refined 2 sets of Supreme God Bone, one for me and the other for younger 9 girl, but because there was a problem with the younger 9 girl, they sealed it in the place they refined the Supreme God Bone, which is the center of the 9 heaven world. Chen Shang found the Supreme God Bone there. So that's how it is. The Ice Dragon nodded its head. Looks like there's fate between the 9 Heaven Devil Palace and him, as though he's required to do something inside. We don't know much about the 9 Heaven Devil Palace, and we don't know what will happen to the people who summon the 9 Heaven Devil Palace. Devil-killing Heavenly God said. Let's hope so. We should return and properly prepare to deal with Divine Prison's group of villains. If we enter the 9 Heaven Devil Palace, who will deal with this group of people? The God of Swords shouted, I'm going to the 9 Heaven Devil Palace, don't stop me. You're not allowed to go, Dad. If you go, what happens if I get bullied by your enemy that you made in the Divine Prison? Wang Jinshi quickly pulled on him again. When the Sword God heard this, he nodded his head. Right, I can't go. The Devil Slayer is too weak. He won't be able to protect you. Devil-killing Heavenly God snorted. You should still go to 9 Heaven Devil Palace. LV Kilian looked at the entrance that led to Super God restricted area with extreme worry, sighed helplessly, and then followed Feng Yuji and left. I heard from Chen Shang that the Azure Dragon is also in the Divine Prison. How is the situation in the Divine Prison? Back then, when the Azure Dragon had been sent to the Divine Prison for him, he felt guilty. He should be the same as me, the first one to run out. The gap between the Divine Prison is getting bigger, and in the future, there will be more guys that will run out. There are a lot of guys that I can't even beat. The God of Swords said. He planned to go to the all-divine palaces because there was an entrance that led to there. Devil Slayer, what happened inside? My fate plate told me that I can't go inside. Once I do, I'll be in trouble. A white-robed old man suddenly appeared. He was the same white-robed old man that Chen Shang had met when he first entered Supreme Divine Palace. When Devil-killing Heavenly God saw the white-robed old man, his eyes revealed respect. The originally laughing Sword God also frowned, because the white-robed old man gave him a very uncomfortable feeling, and because he felt that he could not beat the white-robed old man, this feeling made him very uncomfortable. Although the white-robed old man did not have any chi, none of the Devil-killing Heavenly God and the rest dared to breathe. 9 Heaven Devil Palace, Chen Shang summoned it. The Devil-killing Heavenly God said. When the white-robed cultivator heard this, he let out a long sigh and disappeared. Master, who is he? Wang Jinshi asked softly, an elder of the Supreme Divine Palace, and a very strong Supreme God. Devil-killing Heavenly God said, let's go and quickly inform Penalty Heavenly God of this matter. Let him inform all divine palaces to block the entrance to the Super God restricted area. At that time, there will definitely be a large group of people who aren't afraid of death coming to 9 Heaven Devil Palace. After Chen Shang entered the 9 Heaven Devil Palace, he was free to move. He walked at the front, and the moment he could move his body freely, he used the fastest speed he could muster to run to one of the doors. Hell Devil Emperor and the rest were walking behind, and when they saw Chen Shang enter through the door, they did not immediately chase after him, but immediately turned and ran towards the door, but who knew that just as they rushed out, they were bounced back. Quickly, chase him, it's possible that he knows the way out. Hell Devil Emperor called out anxiously, crossing the Great Hall and entering the fan that Chen Shang had just entered. Have you entered the 9 Heaven Devil Palace? Long Shui asked. Just now Chen Shang had already sent her a sound transmission and briefly explained the situation. I have a map in my mind, which shows me what I am looking for. Chen Shang said. The tunnels inside all flickered with a green light, and scattered ancient spirit grain characters could be seen everywhere. If we follow the map, it should be safe. We must uncover the secret behind the 9 Heaven Devil Palace, said. Knowing that Chen Shang had a map, she was a lot more at ease. Her curiosity was piqued, and she wanted to explore this 9 Heaven Devil Palace. Chapter 1903. The outside of the 9 Heaven Devil Palace was like a maze, and every path was extremely sturdy, making it difficult to use energy to break through. There were a lot of doors inside, but the thing that troubled Chen Shang the most was that these doors would all move randomly, without any pattern. Although he had the 9 Heaven Devil Palace's map and the route and the end mark on the map, the door moving randomly here made him lose his mind. Fortunately, he still knew where he was on the map. When Hell Devil Emperor and the rest entered, they wanted to follow Chen Shang, but the door was very complicated and they lost it very quickly. Chen Shang arrived at the end of a path, There were 3 doors in front of him. Just as he was about to open them, the 3 doors suddenly moved, changing locations. And it's like this again. When will I be able to reach that place? Chen Shang could only casually open a door and walk in. After walking in, the door behind him immediately closed and disappeared. All the places he had been to before were passages, but now he was in a large hall lit by white light. Many beautiful and exquisite fluorescent stones hung from the ceiling of the hall. The floor was covered with a red carpet, and there were many jade tables and chairs carved with carvings. This place looks pretty good. Chen Shang walked to a chair and sat down. Previously, he had been shuttling through the passages which emitted a green light, but now that he had arrived at such a comfortable hall, he was extremely surprised. He thought back to the map in his mind but did not find any information about the location of the hall. This immediately made him worried. Crack! Suddenly, Chen Shang heard some voices, and jumped up from his chair. Looking towards the direction of the voices, there was actually a door, and the door seemed to have been broken through and installed, because there were still many broken bricks on the floor. The sound came from behind this door, and this door was the only door in the hall. There shouldn't be anything inside, right? Chen Shang used the Chaos Divine Eye, but was unable to see through it. The sound came again, and this time it was even louder than before. It sounded like something crashed into the black metal door, causing a loud bang. If he wanted to leave the hall, he had to go through the door. Even if there was something scary inside, Chen Shang could only go in to open it, or else he would not be able to leave. Chen Shang walked over and pulled the door open, then quickly retreated, only to see a tall and skinny white-clothed man walking out. This man's eyes had a purple eye shadow, and there were actually 2 eyeballs inside his eyes, which looked very frightening. In this 9-heaven devil palace, Chen Shang was unable to use the power of the spatial laws, so he needed to be extra careful. 9-heaven devil palace was summoned by you. The man in white asked. Although his eyes looked scary, he was still quite handsome. He looked weak, and he didn't have any powerful aura. His body was very thin, like it could be blown down by a gust of wind. Chen Shang nodded his head. To be able to meet someone who could speak in 9-heaven devil palace, he felt a sense of familiarity towards them. At least, he had not met anyone who looked like a weird-looking demon. Who are you? Chen Shang asked. I am the disciple of the Fire God King. I am glad that you were able to summon the 9-heaven devil palace out. The man suddenly laughed sinisterly, using his long and sharp tongue to lick his lips. It made Chen Zhang's hair stand on end. The disciple of the Fire God King should be very powerful, and when he said those words, it was definitely not something good. The Fire God King should be one of the 9 divine kings, but he actually had such a disciple. How can I leave 9-heaven devil palace? Chen Shang calmed himself down and asked. You don't need to leave, you're my snack. The man in white laughed sinisterly. His handsome face suddenly turned long and his chin became very sharp. His eyes turned dark green and there were 2 protruding lumps of flesh on his head. He looked even more sinister and scary. Chen Shang retreated a few steps. He never thought that after transforming, the fellow in front of him would become so powerful. His strength should be at the upper heavenly god's level. Shuiyi, are you ready? Chen Shang asked Long Shuiyi. He needed to integrate with Long Shuiyi, otherwise it would be dangerous. Alright, let's begin now. Long Shuiyi said. Long Shuiyi's strength had already surged into his body. He could feel that he possessed 2 divine sense CS and 4 strands of divine soul. You use the 6 realms power. This monster was somewhat surprised. Its dark green eyes began to emit an even brighter light. Green saliva dripped from its mouth, as if it was a hungry ghost that had seen the delicacies of the sea and the mountains. Chen Shang did not bother with him. Waving his sword he rushed forward. The god-killing sword on his body suddenly surged out, surprising the monster in front of him. Chen Shang also felt that it was strange. If he could recognize this demon, then he should have seen it before. This means that, in the past, there were people who had cultivated the 6 realms magic kung fu and the god-murdering sword techniques, and it was very likely that they were the people who cultivated in the 9 divine kings. Are you really the Fire God King's disciple? No matter how I look at it, it doesn't look like it. Chen Shang did not sense any aura of flames from her body, which was extremely dense. Of course I am, it's just that I was expelled from the sect by him. Haha, the monster suddenly laughed out wildly. It was because he chased me away that I became so powerful. My little snacks, obediently enter my mouth. Both of its arms suddenly swelled up, and then exploded, shooting out dozens of green arms that were thin and shriveled, flying straight towards Chen Shang. So that's how it is. No wonder you were driven away. You are quite evil. Chen Shang waved his sword a few times and instantly cut off all the arms. Hearing the two words, evil being, the demon suddenly roared as if he had been stabbed in the heart. It seemed that this was the reason why he was chased away by the Fire God King back then. It's my good fortune that I fell for evil, because that's how I get stronger. The severed arm of the demon grew back and became thicker. Dozens of long, dark green arms that looked like old vines once again flew towards Chen Shang. The other party's regeneration ability was very strong, making it difficult for Chen Shang to kill him in a short time, but he still had to first chop off the arm that was attacking him. However, this time, his god-slaughtering sword was not able to break through it. It only left a scratch on its surface. This guy is really strong, there might be 5 or 6 divine deity in his body, we are no match for him. Long Shui said. At the same time that Chen Shang dodged, he discovered something strange. When the strange demon's whip-like arms hit the table and chairs, it actually could not break them. Realizing this, Chen Shang hurriedly dodged back and forth between the tables and chairs, easily dodging the countless of terrifying attacks. Quickly use the god-murdering sword techniques. Long Shui said. Chapter 1904. Alright, let me try. Chen Shang had wanted to use it since a long time ago, but the demon seemed to know of the god-murdering sword techniques. This demon was also very angry. When he attacked Chen Shang quickly hid under the table, unable to attack. Everything in this hall seemed to be enveloped by a terrifying magic. No matter how one fought, it would not rot. No wonder it was still preserved until now. Chen Shang jumped up and down under the table, memorized the entire thing, then rushed towards the demon, and activated his god-murdering sword techniques. The demon suddenly sensed Chen Zhang's terrifying god-killing sword and was shocked. He had sensed that Chen Shang had a god-killing sword on him before, but it was still extremely weak, so he did not have any qualms. However, the god-killing sword that Chen Shang had suddenly erupted with was extremely terrifying. The demons immediately reacted, instantly getting their dozens of rattan-like arms to wrap around themselves. After Chen Shang saw it, he immediately sheathed his sword and rushed towards the door. Because he knew that the monster's arm was extremely powerful and hard to break through, he seized the opportunity to escape. This guy is a bit faster than me, so I had to prepare my defense in advance. That way, I wouldn't be able to attack him in that instant. Chen Shang secretly sighed, if the demons did not defend in time, he might be able to kill them. After Chen Shang entered the door, he was slightly surprised, because there was actually a forest garden inside. There were many tall trees, and all sorts of strange plants. Even though it was dark inside, the leaves all emitted green light, and all sorts of flowers and plants could also release multicolored light. There's even starlight inside. What's going on? Chen Shang rushed into the forest. Through the gaps between the dense leaves, he could see the stars shining in the sky. There's also the power of the stars. They should be real stars. Long Shui said. Chen Shang tried it out, but he was still unable to use the spatial laws. Brat, you came here to seek death. There are even more people more frightening than me here. The monster cried out, and his shrill voice frightened the flowers in the forest into gathering together. Chen Shang did not care about all that, he just kept on running. On the map he got when he first came in, there was no place like this, which confused him a lot. He thought about it and believed that the map that he had assimilated into it when he was refining the Chaos Fire token, and that there must have been some change inside the Nine Heaven Devil Palace after so long, which was why it was different from the map that he had obtained. Chen Shang, who was running frantically, suddenly felt that his 2 legs were entangled by something, and then was hung up, hanging his head down in the air. When he looked up, he found that his feet were bound by the same old rattan arm, but this was not the same monster as before, because the monster's arm was green, and this one was blue. Junior brother, thank you for the snacks. A devilish voice laughed. Chen Shang secretly groaned in his heart. He had actually fallen into the hands of another monster, who was even more powerful than the previous one. At this time, Chen Zhang's hands and body were tightly held by the blue tree vine veteran and he was unable to move. Furthermore, there was a wave of energy seeping into his body, causing his body to feel numb. Senior brother, this is my snack. There are still many more left. Quickly hand it over to me, otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. The green monster roared. Now, Chen Shang could see that senior brother. He was a middle-aged man with a blue skin and 2 eyeballs in each of his eyes. His tongue was very long, like a snake's. How is it yours? I almost lost you when I saw you before. The blue-skinned demon laughed. This little thing is so weak, and it could actually run away from you. You're a gatekeeper, so you can't even deal with it. Chen Shang guessed that this blue-skinned demon was also the Fire God King's disciple, otherwise they wouldn't have called him junior brother. Moreover, the cultivation method they were using was the same, allowing them to have tens of old rattan arms. Chen Shang secretly activated his 72 changes, transforming into a small bug. He struggled out of the old vine arm that was tying him up, and jumped towards a direction. Good move, the blue-skinned demon cried out and immediately charged towards Chen Shang. It instantly arrived above Chen Zhang's head and released a cage, enveloping him within. There was even a layer of light blue light outside the cage. Even if Chen Shang became a little insect, he would still be unable to escape from it. 6 swallowing strikes. Chen Shang secretly activated the engulfing technique inside the 6 realms magic Kung Fu, combining it with the 6 realms mirrors and grabbed the cage with both of his hands. Just as the blue-skinned monster was about to proudly show off to its junior brother, it suddenly cried out in alarm and fiercely withdrew the cage. This cage was weaved with many arms, but just now, he felt its power drain at an extremely fast rate. Chen Shang escaped and immediately escaped, facing a monster that was already unbearable. Now that there was such a strong demon, he was extremely nervous, and almost fell into their hands. This fellow has an incredible treasure on him, hurry up and catch him. The blue-skinned demon screamed. The big trees all around suddenly moved, the tree vines weaved together to form a huge net that emitted a blue light, enveloping Chen Shang within. To be able to escape from my hands twice, you can be considered very capable. The blue-skinned demon rushed over and punched Chen Shang in the chest, causing Chen Shang to scream in pain. These demons could actually control the big trees here. Chen Shang groaned in his heart, he actually came to this kind of damned place. Quickly hand over the treasures on your body. The blue-skinned demon screamed and stepped on Chen Shang fiercely, but was suddenly repelled by the fierce sun heavenly elephant that appeared from Chen Zhang's body. The green-skinned demon that had just arrived shouted in shock. It's the heavenly spirit Kung Fu, that's the scorching sun heavenly elephant. This brat also knows the god-murdering sword techniques and 6 realms magic Kung Fu, and now he has the heavenly spirit Kung Fu, he's worthy to be able to summon the 9 heaven devil palace. We will join hands and use the soul-searching technique on him. I'm worried that my strength will be insufficient and he will devour me. That way, we can obtain the divine technique from him as well. The blue-skinned demon said. All right. The green-skinned monster immediately agreed and hurried over. Chen Shang was extremely shocked. He only saw the 2 demon beasts' hands floating above his head, and then, his head started to hurt. Just as Chen Shang was feeling that his head was in pain, he suddenly saw a cut on the heads of the 2 demons in front of him. The net that was wrapped around Chen Shang also disappeared. He looked at the 2 heads on the ground, which were still floating, but just as they were about to float, they were pierced through by 2 swords. An incomparably charming woman dressed in black appeared, and stepped on the 2 heads. This was actually the younger Nine Girl. Chapter 1905. When younger Nine Girl was being chased by highest old devil, she was sent to Divine Prison to seek refuge. Now that Divine Prison was in trouble, Penalty Heavenly God had released her long ago. It's you, have mercy. The blue-skinned demon screamed. Seeing that the younger Nine Girl had suddenly appeared here, the 2 demons were also surprised. Younger Nine Girl's charming face revealed a cold smile. Her legs released a berserk power and stepped on the 2 heads under her feet forcefully. Follow me. Younger Nine Girl grabbed Chen Zhang's clothes and flew into the depths of the forest with a swoosh. She seemed to be extremely familiar with this place and did not rush forward continuously but turned regularly, as if she was avoiding something. She came to the side of a big tree. This big tree looked no different from any other tree, but younger Nine Girl took Chen Shang and rushed straight into the big tree, and in the blink of an eye, they entered into the big tree. In a flash before Chen Zhang's eyes, they arrived at a narrow space and found themselves right inside the trunk of a huge tree. Thank you for saving me. Chen Shang hurriedly expressed his gratitude. Since younger Nine Girl was going to save him, it meant that he no longer hated him, because he had a little misunderstanding with him. You're welcome, we're even. The last time highest old devil suddenly appeared, Chen Shang took her away, so it could be considered as saving her life. To be able to meet an acquaintance of his in this deadly 9 heaven devil palace, Chen Shang was definitely very happy. Furthermore, it was this younger Nine Girl. When did you come in? I just summoned the 9-heaven devil palace, and I was the first one to enter, so even if you left the divine prison, you shouldn't have entered the 9-heaven devil palace that quickly. Chen Shang said. The younger 9 girl replied, I've been in here for a month. Although I don't have any chaos fire token, I know where this 9-heaven devil palace is, so I came in here very early. Then did you go and find Feng Yuji? She's worried about you right now. Chen Shang asked. Last time when he mentioned the younger 9 girl to Feng Yuji, it made her feel extremely pained, because she had misunderstood him for all these years. Younger 9 girl's eyes were also filled with longing, it was obvious that she also missed Feng Yuji. She shook her head. No, my path is different from hers. Chen Shang sat down. There were a lot of level of weeds here, it was very comfortable to sit on. What are you doing in the 9-heaven devil palace? Feng Yuji kept on reminding me to not come in. Are you really unable to come out? Now that Chen Shang had entered, he had almost become a demon snack. It was indeed very dangerous. Younger 9 girl hugged his knees and leaned against the wall as he sat down, and said in a low voice, I just don't think I have anywhere to go. Highest old devil is right inside divine prison, if it wasn't for penalty heavenly god informing me in advance and letting me out, I would have been captured by him already. Chen Shang felt a little guilty, because he had something to do with it, because the 6 realms mirrors was in his hands, but the highest old devil thought that he had it in his hands. Part of the reason I came in was to take refuge, because in the future, there will be more and more people searching for 6 realms mirrors. When highest old devil enters the divine prison, he will definitely leak out the news, and the other thing is, I came here to find the 9 divine kings, and I know that they are right here. Quote. Chen Shang sighed and said, Big sister Xiaoju, to be honest, the supreme god bone 9 divine kings originally gave to you had been accidentally obtained by me and had already been merged by me. I'm so sorry. Quote. Younger 9 girl shook his head, and said, You don't need to apologize to me, it is your fortune that you can obtain it. At that time, I chose to give up, and furthermore, I have cultivated a supreme god bone, I only want to find 9 divine kings now, and I want to apologize to them. Back then, they gave me so much hope, but I betrayed them. Chen Shang took out the 7 Chaos Fire Token S and said, When I merged with all these Chaos Fire Token, a map appeared in my mind, and there were also many spirit grain. I originally thought that we could go to the marketplace by following the map, but I didn't know that those paths were too deceptive. After knowing that Chen Shang had a map, younger 9 girl's heart moved, and said, Can you give me a rough idea about the location? Maybe there is a clue there. 9 divine kings might not be dead, but is instead trapped in here. Chen Shang drew out the approximate location of the mark on the map. When younger 9 girl saw it, his face turned serious. This is the core of the array that was activated in the 9-heaven divine palace back then. We can only find out after going to take a look. Right, what happened with those fellows outside just now? That green-skinned fellow claimed that he was the Fire God King's disciple, is that true? Chen Shang was very curious about this place, because there were no markings on the map here. They were all disciples of the Fire God King. At that time, the 9 divine kings had 3,000 disciples, but most of them betrayed the 9 divine kings and a few loyal people went missing with the 9 divine kings. The younger 9 girl said, They betrayed the 9 divine kings and sided with the 9 divine kings as enemies, but in the end, when they attacked the 9-heaven divine palaces, they were trapped inside. They are the more dangerous ones in here, you have to be careful, the ones you met were just small fries, if you met those gods, you would have died long ago. Chen Shang nodded. Sister Xiaoju, then you and I will go look for this place. With your current strength, with you accompanying me, I will be safer. Younger 9 girl nodded in agreement. She left her hiding place with Chen Shang and ran in a certain direction. This is a small world inside the 9-heaven devil palace, so it does not appear on the map. As long as you are a disciple of the 9 divine kings, you will know how to enter this place. After the 9-heaven divine palace became a 9-heaven devil palace, it became very strange outside, and many paths have been renovated. The younger 9 girl brought Chen Shang and quickly arrived at a stone mountain. On top of the stone mountain, there was a door. After the younger 9 girl opened the door, he nodded towards Chen Shang. Let's go in, you have to follow me closely later, I'll bring you to that place as much as possible. After opening the door, younger 9 girl and Chen Shang entered together. They arrived at a dark stone room, but there were other people inside. It's Chen Shang. The one who had shouted was the unwearying fighting Dan god of the war god shrine. Chapter 1906. Chen Shang never thought he would be so lucky. If it was before, he would definitely think that he was really unlucky, but right now, he had an extremely powerful younger 9 girl by his side, so he was not afraid of this unwearying fighting Dan-god at all. Aside from unwearying fighting Dan-god, there were also his 2 disciples. However, they were only super profound god, so Chen Shang himself could easily deal with them. This guy is my enemy, can you take care of him? Chen Shang sent a sound transmission to the younger 9 girl. The younger 9 girl had easily killed off the 2 monsters, so she was definitely not weak. Haha, the unwearying fighting Dan-god suddenly laughed out wildly. Chen Shang, I never thought that you would fall into my hands in the end. If that fellow Hell Devil Emperor is not here, I can kill you without any qualms. Previously, when the unwearying fighting Dan-god wanted to make a move against Chen Shang, it was precisely because of the Hell Devil Emperor's obstruction that gave Chen Shang the chance to summon the 9 Heaven Devil Palace, which caused all of them to be in a difficult situation. Younger 9 girl took out 2 swords and said to Chen Shang, I'll help you deal with this guy. You owe me this. Unwearying fighting Dan-god didn't know younger 9 girl, and although younger 9 girl had a charming face that captivated souls, unwearying fighting Dan-god felt that she wasn't very powerful. All of you, die together. You will be buried with my son. Unwearying fighting Dan-god sneered, 2 balls of flames appearing in his hands, transforming into 2 roaring fire bear heads. In the darkness, a shadow of a flame flashed towards Chen Shang. Younger 9 girl turned into a gust of wind and blew towards the 2 balls of flames that had been extinguished. 2 swords appeared in younger 9 girl's hands, which were used to kill the 2 monsters. Seeing how strong the younger 9 girl was, the unwearying fighting Dan-god was shocked in his heart. He knew that Chen Shang had a white dragon by his side, but the woman in front of him was not that white dragon, and when Chen Shang first came in, he was the one who came in. Go and face that Chen Shang. Unwearying fighting Dan-god shouted to the 2 disciples in the corner next to him. You just have to delay him and prevent him from messing around. After I take care of this woman, I can go and help you guys. Younger 9 girl brandished his 2 swords and attacked unwearying fighting Dan-god. 2 disciples of unwearying fighting Dan-god immediately rushed towards Chen Shang. They knew that Chen Shang was very strong, but they thought that their master was strong, so even if they couldn't win against him, their master would still help them. Chen Shang coldly snorted. You overconfident fellow, did you not see how I killed Feng Shen? Hearing Chen Zhang's words, the 2 disciples suddenly recalled how easy it was for Chen Shang to kill Feng Shen back then. Now, it was even easier to deal with them, but now, they were right in front of Chen Shang. Both of Chen Zhang's hands turned into huge palms, and slapped down hard towards them, producing a ball of flame. The bodies of the 2 disciples turned into sparks and sprayed out, instantly turning into ashes. The younger 9 girl and the unwearying fighting Dan-god fought fiercely. The unwearying fighting Dan-god was suppressed by the younger 9 girl, and the younger 9 girl was even more terrifying than he had imagined. In the god's realm, there weren't many strong women, and the strongest was only the hall master of the divine female palace. But the unwearying fighting Dan-god and the hall master of the divine female palace were only on par with each other, and their fights were evenly matched. Who are you? Do you know who I am? I'm the pill god from the war god shrine. Offending the pill god isn't a wise decision. Even when using all of his strength, unwearying fighting Dan-god was still unable to counterattack, and could not break apart the younger 9 girl's fierce offensive. I'm the owner of half of this shrine. I've never looked down on things like the god of pills. You should go and die as soon as possible, lest you suffer the endless torture here. You'll be grateful to me after you die. The 2 swords of the younger 9 girl suddenly flashed, crossing around the neck of the unwearying fighting Dan-god. With a pull of the 2 swords, the head of the unwearying fighting Dan-god was chopped off. Before unwearying fighting Dan-god could understand what was happening, the head had already landed in Chen Zhang's hands. Without a word, Chen Shang took out his divine deity. I actually got 4, not bad. Chen Shang looked at the 4 shiny divine deity in his hands, laughed mischievously, and then put it away. Unwearying fighting Dan-god was already dead, but his body had turned into black smoke and was absorbed into the surrounding walls. This guy should have 6 divine deity. It's not bad that you were able to take away 4 of his divine deity. Younger 9 girl nodded. Here you go. Chen Shang passed over, wanting to give her 2, but she shook her head. Keep them yourself. I don't need them with my current strength. To be able to easily destroy a upper heavenly god like the unwearying fighting Dan-god, the younger 9 girl would definitely be very strong. Although she wasn't too powerful, she wouldn't be far from becoming too powerful. Let's keep walking. Younger 9 girl came to the doors on the wall and said, wait a moment, after these changes, the direction to the wall will also change. Chen Shang said, it's these doors that have made me dizzy. Little Ju Jia, you have learned the rules of these doors. The younger 9 girl nodded and said, I have managed to grasp a little of the rules. She and Chen Shang patiently waited for a while. When the doors moved again, the younger 9 girl immediately opened the middle door and pulled Chen Shang in. After entering, Chen Shang realized that he was in a garden and there was even a bright sunlight. This made him very happy, because there was a garden on the map, right in the middle of the road. How do you know? Chen Shang curiously asked the younger 9 girl. Feel it. I grew up in this shrine since I was young. I have a special feeling. When the doors are changing, space is also moving. When this garden is near, I can feel it. Younger 9 girl shuttled back and forth along the familiar path in the flower garden, Chen Shang following closely behind her. Don't relax, even though it is a safe route on the map, this is the resting place for those bastards and traitors. Be careful. Just as younger 9 girl finished speaking, a wave of cold wind blew over, accompanied by a wretched laughter. Younger 9 girl, if it wasn't for you betraying the 9 divine kings first, we wouldn't have betrayed you. You still have the face to talk about us. The voice smirked. Chen Shang could tell now that the younger 9 girl was very prestigious in this shrine. Otherwise, there would not be a large group of 9 divine kings' disciples betraying him. I have my own difficulties, different from all of you. Younger 9 girl's voice was ice cold. She had pretended to betray 9 divine kings in order to get into the enemy's camp and find an opportunity for 9 divine kings. Who knew that these disciples would be so disloyal and turn traitor? Chapter 1907. Chen Shang thought that it would be very safe to be with the younger 9 girl. Who would have thought that the younger 9 girl was filled with enemies everywhere? The person who suddenly appeared was dressed in very tattered clothes. He had long, flowing hair, had a beard on his face, and looked quite handsome. He didn't have 2 calves, but those calves turned into black mist that could cause him to float. Ah Feng, quickly let us see, when I find the 9 divine kings, you will also be free to do so. Right now, the 9 divine kings is in a predicament, although you have betrayed them, they are magnanimous and will not care about your matters. Younger 9 girl said. From her words, it was clear that the man called Ah Feng was very strong. Ah Feng laughed coldly. 9 divine kings is already dead. We have been here for so long and we have not been able to find them, not to mention you, but you have caused us so much suffering. All these years, we have all wished to eat your blood and drink your flesh. Younger 9 girl's face sank as he said angrily, you bunch of bastards, you brought yourself down here, what does it have to do with me? Ah Feng was also extremely furious and shouted, how can that have nothing to do with you? Back then, 9 Heaven Divine Palace met with danger, but you, as one of the 2 inheritors of the 9 Divine Kings, betrayed the 9 Divine Kings. We betrayed you as well, causing us to be trapped here in the 9 Divine Kings and be buried with them. Chen Shang found it funny and he couldn't help but say, if you hadn't betrayed the 9 Divine Kings back then, what would have been the consequences? Ah Feng was speechless, and was immediately stunned, while the younger 9 girl sneered and helped him answer, they are all a bunch of cowards. Even if they don't follow me, when the time comes, they will also make decisions like this. The younger 9 girl stabbed at Ah Feng's sore spot, causing Ah Feng to let out a furious roar. A very long spike appeared in his hand, which fiercely pierced towards younger 9 girl. The younger 9 girl was already prepared, he waved his sword and blocked, then he gave Chen Shang a gentle slap, sending him far away. Chen Shang being far away from the battlefield did not mean that he was safe. After he was sent away by the younger 9 girl, he felt a gust of wind blowing towards him. I haven't tasted fresh meat in a long time. A sinister laugh sounded out in Chen Zhang's ears, and his back felt a chill, he anxiously avoided the sharp object, unexpectedly turning out to be a spear. After dodging, Chen Shang still had lingering fear in his heart. He took out the god-slaughtering sword and continued to block the incoming spear. The majority of the people inside the 9 Heaven Devil Palace were disciples of the 9 Divine Kings, and they were all extremely powerful. The 2 demons that Chen Shang had met earlier were not things he could handle, and the Ah Feng he had just met was also very strong. The dark-skinned man he was facing was also very strong, much stronger than the green-skinned monsters in the forest. Shui Yi, lend me your power. This guy is not easy to deal with. Chen Shang blocked that attack just now and the force of the rebound nearly shattered his bones. Long Shui Yi immediately merged with Chen Shang. After Chen Shang felt Long Shui's power, the dark-skinned man thrusted at him again. This attack was much faster than before. Even though Chen Shang could see it, he was unable to dodge it. His body was not pierced at all, because the profound Wu clothing had acted as a defense and blocked the attack, but Chen Shang was still sent flying by the force. After Chen Shang fell, he was secretly shocked at the strength of the profound Wu clothing. That time, he thought he was going to die, but didn't think that he would be alright. The dark-skinned man was also surprised. Chen Shang, who only knew how to dodge and run, was very weak in his eyes, but his spear with 8 layers of power did not penetrate Chen Zhang's body. This was too strange. Although the profound Wu clothing had not revealed itself, it still possessed a strong defensive power. Previously, Chen Shang did not plan to put the profound Wu clothing on, as he was worried that the profound Wu clothing would be destroyed, but now, it seemed that his worries were unnecessary. When Chen Shang saw that the profound Wu clothing had decent defensive power, he was immediately filled with confidence. At least he wouldn't need to worry too much about getting killed in an instant. If only this profound Wu clothing had a soul and divine deity. Long Shui said, "You have to find the appropriate divine soul and divine deity for the profound Wu clothing and your god-slaughtering sword as soon as possible, otherwise, the power will be greatly reduced. If these two things were to rise, your strength would also increase by a lot." When Chen Shang used the god-slaughtering sword, the 6 realms power in his body was unable to be channeled into the sword, so the power of the god-slaughtering sword could not be truly unleashed. "He's coming." Chen Shang saw that the black-skinned man had once again raised his spear and rushed towards him. This time, his speed and strength was much faster than before. Chen Shang did not plan to defend anymore, but he wanted to give his opponent a ruthless blow. This time, the spear tip was aimed at Chen Zhang's head. The black-skinned man thought that Chen Shang would dodge, so he was not on guard at all. Therefore, the moment the long spear pierced forward, Chen Shang intended to go all out, and strike his arm with all of his strength to give his arm even more power, so that he could ruthlessly stab the god-slaughtering sword. The sword he thrust did not use any sword technique, but rather the word, fast and precise. The speed of lightning and the power of thunder pierced towards the dark-skinned man's forehead. The black-skinned man did not expect that Chen Shang would ignore the fact that his head was pierced, and even ruthlessly strike him down, and in the blink of an eye, his head was pierced. This kind of sudden attack, he did not expect it, and did not have the time to dodge. Although the profound Wu clothing had only pierced his body, it had protected his entire body. He had only suffered a slight concussion on his head, and was not really hurt, as the profound Wu clothing had absorbed a lot of energy, causing Chen Shang to be secretly surprised. Could it be that it's because it's in the 9-heaven devil palace, that profound Wu clothing's power is being displayed, and it didn't seem to be that powerful before? The profound Wu clothing that Chen Shang had obtained from the super god restricted area had also fought with a few heavenly gods before. Not long ago, when they were attacked by the 2 demons, the profound Wu clothing did not have this kind of expression. Now that they came to this garden, the profound Wu clothing became like this, causing Chen Shang and Long Shui to be extremely suspicious. The black-skinned man's head was pierced through by Chen Zhang's god-slaughtering sword, and he was heavily injured. He shouted crazily. He did not expect that Chen Shang would be so evil, to the point where he did not even dodge nor defend. Chapter 1908. When Chen Shang saw that his opponent was not lightly injured and had rushed over while wielding a sword, the dark-skinned man was enraged. Seeing Chen Shang charging over with his life on the line to kill him, he felt that it was both infuriating and funny. Chen Shang was extremely weak in his eyes, and actually wanted to kill him. However, he had indeed been severely injured by Chen Shang, and his divine soul had been damaged. "I'm not playing with you anymore, go die." The black-skinned man's forehead was bleeding. Seeing Chen Shang rushing towards him, he thrusted his spear at Chen Shang, giving off a wave of spear shadows. It was as if he could make multiple bloody holes on Chen Zhang's body. However, Chen Shang did not dodge, but rushed over, and his body had been stabbed over 100 times. He was completely fine though. After he used the profound Wu clothing to counter the black-skinned man's attack, he brandished the god-slaughtering sword and unleashed the god-murdering sword techniques. In that instant, within his domain, everything became extremely slow. He could clearly see the shocked expression on the dark-skinned man's face. When the black-skinned man saw that his move had been dissolved, he wanted to use his second move, but Chen Shang had already unleashed his god-murdering sword techniques. He could also feel that God-killing sword had suddenly erupted, so he was extremely shocked. In merely an instant, Chen Shang slashed out tens of times within his own god-slaughtering domain, slicing the dark-skinned man into 8 pieces and even took out 5 divine deities from his body. This guy's divine deity is much higher than unwearying fighting Dan gods. Chen Shang looked at the 5 upper heavenly gods' divine deity in his hands, and was extremely excited. Adding these 5, he would already have 9 pills. If he refined them into heavenly god pellets, then that would be able to increase his cultivation by leaps and bounds. Yao Xiao. Ah Feng, who was fighting with the younger 9 girl, suddenly shouted in anger. He did not expect that the Xiao Xiao who was stronger than him was actually killed, furthermore it was such an inconspicuous, weak guy. Younger 9 girl was even more surprised. Previously, when Chen Shang met that unwearying fighting Dan god, he was scared out of his wits, but that Ah Xiao was someone who was much stronger than him. Chen Shang himself was surprised. If not for the profound Wu clothing suddenly becoming so powerful, he would not have obtained such rewards. Ah Feng really wanted to run over and kill Chen Shang, but he was entangled by the younger 9 girl, he had been distracted, and almost chopped off his arm. Chen Shang had already ran over, but younger 9 girl knew that he wanted to help, so he did not stop him, and even gave him a chance. After watching the battle for more than an hour, younger 9 girl suddenly made a mistake, found an opening and slashed his blade over. In order to avoid the attack, younger 9 girl had no choice but to dodge to the distance to avoid the powerful blade force. It was also at this time that Chen Shang rushed towards Ah Feng. Ah Feng was pleasantly surprised, because in his opinion, Chen Shang rushing over would be suicide, and younger 9 girl was also surprised. What was Chen Shang rushing over for? He was obviously rushing to his death. Chen Shang anxiously transmitted to the younger 9 girl, "When he cuts me down, come over and sneak attack him. Do not worry about me, I have profound Wu clothing, he will not be able to harm me." Ah Feng rushed towards Chen Shang, condensed all of his energy, and slashed at the top of Chen Zhang's head. What he did not expect was, when his blade chopped down, not only did Chen Shang not dodge, he even extended both his hands out. His blade landed on top of Chen Zhang's head, but it did not slash Chen Zhang's blade into 2 as he had imagined. While Chen Shang had actually extended both his hands out to wrap around his blade, he had only reacted at this time, but it was already too late, his head had already been chopped off by the younger 9 girl. When the younger 9 girl found out that Chen Shang had the profound Wu clothing, she understood how Chen Shang killed Ah Xiao. However, she still didn't quite understand. Since Chen Shang had the profound Wu clothing, he wouldn't have been tormented by the 2 demons to such an extent. After Ah Feng's head was chopped off by the younger 9 girl, Chen Shang anxiously added a few more blows before quickly taking out his divine deity. He only took out 4 divine deity. I didn't expect that I would still have some use. Chen Shang laughed and withdrew his divine deity. Younger 9 girl had originally thought that she would have to work hard, but when Chen Shang had cooperated with her just now, she had easily taken care of Ah Feng. "What's going on with the profound Wu clothing on you?" Younger 9 girl asked. "I don't know either. Coming to this place is the only way. I was being tormented by the blue and green skins before." Chen Shang spread his hands. Younger 9 girl frowned and thought for a while, then said, "Do you have divine deity above your profound Wu clothing?" Chen Shang shook his head. "No, I want to find divine deity S and divine soul S for the profound Wu clothing, but I don't know how to find them." Younger 9 girl said, "Don't even think about it. Aside from Heavenly Divine Lord, no one else is able to find the appropriate divine deity and divine soul for a profound Wu clothing." Chen Shang asked in shock, "Heavenly Divine Lord is 9 divine kings' father, huh?" Younger 9 girl nodded his head. "He is very powerful, but 9 divine kings said that he died, but I do not believe that such a person would not die. Let's not talk about that. For your profound Wu clothing to be able to unleash its power here means that it possesses the divine deity of a profound Wu clothing." Quote. Chen Shang asked, "Aren't the divine deity of these divine tools dissipating on their own?" Younger 9 girl began to search all over the place, and said, "The other divine tools are indeed like this, but the 4 symbols divine weapons S are different. The divine deity will never disappear, and it should be inside this garden." Chen Shang also looked around and said, "Little 9 sis, if there is the divine deity of a profound Wu clothing here, then the profound Wu clothing should be connected to that divine deity and I should be able to feel it as well." The younger 9 girl stopped searching and said, "Then you must communicate with the profound Wu clothing well, and see if you can get any sort of response from it." Chen Shang took a deep breath. He closed his eyes and tried to sense the profound Wu clothing. After a while, he suddenly opened his eyes and laughed. I found it, over there. There were many fake mountains in the garden, so Chen Shang immediately ran towards one of them. After arriving there, Chen Shang wanted to smash the fake mountain into pieces, but there was no movement from the fake mountain at all. The things here are indestructible. Don't you see how intense our battle was just now? But the flowers and grass here are still completely undamaged. This palace was also forged by the Emperor of the 9 heavens. 9 divine kings has improved after. They treat everything here as treasures. The younger 9 girl said. Chen Shang thought about the tables and chairs in the hall earlier. They were basically not damaged at all. Chen Shang and younger 9 girl searched for an hour on top of the fake mountain before finally finding the divine deity. It actually looked like a normal little stone. It's this thing. I almost threw him far away just now. If Chen Shang had not tried to sense the profound Wu clothing once more, he would not have known that this ordinary stone was the divine deity. Drop blood. After you drip blood, if your divine deity has a spirit, it will automatically fuse with you, and finally assimilate into the profound Wu clothing. Younger 9 girl said. This profound Wu clothing never had a master before, and even 9 divine kings and the rest are reluctant to use it, so you got lucky. Chapter 1909. Not long after, his divine deity could sense the connection to the profound Wu clothing from his body, and he consciously fused with the profound Wu clothing, and Chen Shang also had a reaction to the divine deity inside the profound Wu clothing, which allowed him to release the defensive power of the profound Wu clothing at any time. After the divine deity entered the profound Wu clothing, it absorbed the 6 realms power from Chen Zhang's body and awakened the divine soul sealed inside the divine deity. I wonder if the other 4 symbols divine weapons are this powerful. Although Chen Shang asked this, he already had an answer in his heart. Of course it's powerful. Although I have never seen 9 divine kings use it before, I heard that it's a divine tool that was used by the Ninafal Heavenly Emperor himself. Younger 9 girl was a little jealous of Chen Shang in her heart. She was the one who was created by 9 divine kings, but the Supreme God Bone and 4 symbols divine weapons were both on Chen Shang. Chen Shang chuckled. Younger 9 girl, if 9 divine kings knew, would they ask me for it? The younger 9 girl snorted. How would I know? It's not as if I'm them, but I've already merged with your body. Even if they want to return, it won't be that easy. Chen Shang finally got the complete profound Wu clothing, and was in a very happy mood. He almost forgot that he was still in this deadly 9 Heaven Devil Palace. Of course, in the period of time he entered the 9 Heaven Devil Palace, he had experienced many dangerous things, but right now, he was safe and sound. Furthermore, his rewards were plentiful too. Chen Shang followed the younger 9 girl through the garden and arrived at a grassy area. Looking from afar, they could see a small river quietly flowing, with sunlight shining on the small river, causing it to look like it was flowing with a gold river. A light breeze blew past, and the small grass by the river swayed, giving off a kind of peaceful vibe. This 9 Heaven Devil Palace is pretty beautiful too. Chen Shang sighed. I often catch fish by the river with my sister that year. Alas, we were still very young back then. In the blink of an eye, so many years had passed, and so many things had happened. Younger 9 girl was deeply moved. Little Ju sis, why don't you give yourself a name? Moreover, you're in your own home right now. Chen Shang laughed. How about I help you up? Younger 9 girl shook his head. Chen Shang asked. Back then 9 divine kings did not give you a name. I heard that you would only approve if they gave you a name. Younger 9 girl nodded. They will wait for me to fuse with my Supreme God Bone before they give me a name. Chen Shang laughed. I've integrated with your Supreme God Bone, why don't you let me name you? Long Shui loved to give names to people, but they were all rotten names, so Chen Shang immediately sent her a sound transmission telling her to give up on this idea. Younger 9 girl hesitated for a moment, then nodded her head. I think her surname is Ju. This is what 9 divine kings is called. Feng Yuji's original name was also Ju Yujia, but in order to not attract attention, she changed her surname. Chen Shang scratched his chin and muttered. This surname is very rare, and also has a very ancient surname. Let me think, just call it Ju Hanru, hee hee. Quote. Younger 9 girl thought for a moment, then asked, what do you mean? Chen Shang laughed. Of course there is. You are charming and moving, so you should act a bit more gentle. Instead of being cold like this, you need to be gentle. Also, although you are cold, you are a bit gentle to me, so I chose to use this name. Ju Hanru just snorted. he did not say that he did not agree, and looked like he agreed. Let's continue on our way. After we cross these plains, we will arrive at a bad place. Zhu Hanru said. Chen Shang thought back to the map, and he didn't see anything bad there, it just showed that it was a small mountain. What's wrong with that place? Isn't it a short mountain? Chen Shang quickly followed up and asked. Those short mountains are all tombs, they are all people that were killed and buried in the Nine Heaven Divine Palace. Although I don't know how that place has become, it has always been a bad place. Zhu Hanru said. The road that you pointed to on the map will be right here. When Chen Shang heard that it was the tomb of a villain who had been executed, a bad premonition arose in his heart. He started to feel apprehensive, he did not want to encounter anything terrifying. The paths on the map are all useful to you. You first came to the forest to meet me, then went to the garden to obtain the divine deity of the profound Wu clothing. Therefore, going to the grave might not be a bad place. Seeing Chen Zhang's expression change, Zhu Hanru chuckled. Chen Shang curled his lips, I'm not afraid. I'm just not like those kind of things that make people lose their appetite. The previous Xiao Feng was a bit better, but that green and blue skin is not good, just thinking about it makes one uncomfortable. This prairie was very small, so Chen Shang and Zhu Hanru purposely slowed their pace, enjoying the beautiful scenery and the sunlight. This was because they were worried that they would not be able to see this kind of beautiful scenery for a while. Little Zhu Jia, Hell Devil Emperor already knows that I have a 6 realms mirrors. Once you leave, you don't need to be the scapegoat for me anymore. At that time, will you go and find Sister Feng? Chen Shang asked. Although the younger 9 girl had a name, Chen Shang still liked to call her that. She is my only family. Although she and I were both created by the 9 divine kings, I can clearly feel that we both share the same blood. To me, she is even more intimate than the 9 divine kings. Zhu Hanru said, the reason why I betrayed the 9 divine kings back then was also for the safety of 9 divine kings and her, but in the end, I still did not succeed. In front of them were small mountains. These hills were shrouded in a black fog, and although it was just a line away from the dark green grassland, the difference was like the sky and the earth. There were so many short mountains that it was hard to count them clearly. Chen Shang asked curiously, why are you buried here if you were to be killed? Zhu Hanru nodded his head. They are all buried corpses, 9 divine kings thinks that the dead are big, so they will treat the dead well, and the majority of the people buried here are all strong people who are willing to die. I heard that there are some disciples that 9 divine kings has set their eyes on. Chen Shang said with her eyes wide open, that means there are a lot of divine deity inside. Zhu Hanru said, that's right, but these divine deity are not easy to take away. When I and Big Sister needed them, 9 divine kings told us that there were a large amount of divine deity buried here, and that as long as we have the ability, we could take them away at will. But in the end, we did not succeed, because these short mountains are all powerful restrictions, and only 9 divine kings can break through them. Chen Shang and Zhu Hanru stepped into the black fog. The moment they entered, they immediately heard miserable cries from the yin wind. They turned to look back, only to find that the jade-green beautiful grassland had already disappeared. This damned place is doomed to meet a ghost. Chen Shang muttered as he tightly held onto the god-slaughtering sword. Chapter 1910. Chen Shang and Zhu Hanru entered the large cemetery of the short mountains. After passing through many small hills, they could all see some stone tablets erected in front of the short mountains, and some names of these tombs were written on them. Why is this place always shrouded in darkness? Is it the same as before? Chen Shang looked at the thick clouds in the sky. It should be full of sunlight now, but because of the thick clouds, the sunlight was not shining down. Zhu Hanru nodded. It used to be like this. I heard one of the divine kings say that although they were executed and buried here, they can still be revived, but after they are revived they will live in a different form, different from normal people. In order to give them a chance to revive, this place has to be built with extremely dense yin qi. Even so, there are very few who can be revived. I've stayed in the shrine for many years but I've never heard of anyone reviving. Chen Shang asked in a low voice, will there suddenly be a group revival? If these guys revive, will you be able to deal with them? Zhu Hanru stopped in front of a stone tablet and said, look at this, this is the Supreme God's tomb. When I was killed, I had 12 divine deity, do you think I can handle it? Chen Shang was very surprised with this matter. Before, he had seen many stone tablets, but the majority of them were for divine deity S. Now that he had seen 12 for divine deity S, it made him very surprised. The ones buried here are not only the 9 divine kings' erroneous subordinates, but also the subordinates of the heavenly divine lord back then. Therefore, these tombs are not simple at all. Ju Hanru sighed lightly. It's a pity that the 9th heaven's divine nations is destroyed and can never be restored. The 9 divine kings is so powerful, but even trying to return to their country is hindered to such an extent. Ju Hanru's faint sigh resounded within the silent mausoleum. Chen Shang had already learned that the divine nations that the other 9 nations had jointly annihilated was called the 9 Nether Divine Nations, and that the 9 divine kings was the 9 Nether Emperor's 9th son of the 9 Nether Divine Nations. Traitor, do you still have the face to say that you've come here recklessly? Are you trying to steal the divine hall's treasure? An angry and delicate shout came out. Chen Shang was shocked. If someone were to suddenly speak in the graveyard, they would at least be frightened. On the other hand, Ju Hanru was very calm. She said to Chen Shang in a low voice, "Don't worry, this is the one in charge of guarding the tomb, he didn't come out from the grave." Seeing Ju Hanru being so calm, Chen Shang was relieved, but at the same time, he saw a red figure floating over. The guard of the tomb was actually a beautiful woman. "Chu Yunwei, you want to hear my explanation?" Just as Ju Hanru shouted, a sword already pierced forward. Without enough time for Ju Hanru to say anything, he immediately summoned his 2 swords to counterattack. "I'm too lazy to listen to your explanation. I don't believe a word you say," Chu Yunwei said coldly. Although she looked pretty and gentle, she was angry at the moment and her words were accompanied by waves of killing intent. Ju Hanru frowned her eyebrows. She waved her twin swords and resisted continuously. She did not attack, but did not seem to have some concerns, because there was a misunderstanding between her and Chu Yunwei. As long as the misunderstanding was resolved, they would still be good friends, and if she were to hurt Chu Yunwei now, the misunderstanding would only get bigger. Chen Shang watched on from the side, secretly feeling anxious in her heart. Ju Hanru was not weak, but in order to not hurt Chu Yunwei, she had suppressed her own strength, and had only dodged and blocked without retaliating. If this continued, Ju Hanru himself would definitely be injured first. Although Chu Yunwei was furious, she did not give it her all right now. Because this was a cemetery, as a gravekeeper, she could not create too much noise. Although the tombs here were sturdy and hard to destroy, she was very dedicated. "What should we do? If this goes on, the younger 9 girl will be injured." Chen Shang wanted to intervene, but his strength was limited. He was merely a lower god, and Ju Hanru and Chu Yunwei were both upper heavenly god with many divine deities. Long Shui said, "Don't you have profound Wu clothing S with you? Help younger 9 girl to relieve some of the pressure, and give her a chance to explain." Chen Shang immediately ran over, and at the same time, Chu Yunwei also increased his strength. The long sword in his hand shone with a red light, infused with extremely strong divine power, crazily thrusting towards Ju Hanru, and Ju Hanru could only clench his teeth and dodge. He did not dare resist, because the power Chu Yunwei was using was getting stronger and stronger. "Yunwei, listen to me. Right now, I have hope of finding the 9 divine kings. When the time comes, I will be able to explain everything." Ju Hanru gritted his teeth. "Calm down and listen to my explanation. If I were really a traitor, I wouldn't be giving way to you at all costs." Chu Yunwei shouted, "I won't listen to you. Back then, you chose to collude with outsiders to destroy the divine hall." The red-colored sword aura enveloped the entire grave area. In that moment, Ju Hanru no longer dodged, but closed her eyes instead. She was willing to accept this sword attack, because she was indeed in the wrong at the time. When Chu Yunwei saw that Ju Hanru gave up resisting and did not dodge, her heart inexplicably softened. The pair of eyes that were filled with hatred had already become beautiful and gentle, but also filled with regret, because she could not keep her sword any longer. At that time, she did not believe that Ju Hanru would betray the 9 divine kings either. Just at this critical moment, Chen Shang suddenly jumped out, and hugged Ju Hanru, and allowed the sword to pierce his back. Ouch! Chen Shang screamed in pain. He felt as though his spine was being pierced. He hugged Ju Hanru, and was sent flying by the force, crashing into a small mountain. "Profound Wu clothing," Chu Yunwei shouted in shock, and secretly heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. She was a very gentle and kind woman, but because of the hatred she had accumulated over the years, she had become very angry and fierce. After all, Ju Hanru suddenly betraying the 9 divine kings back then had dealt her too big of a blow. And because she trusted Ju Hanru very much, and because her relationship with him was very deep, it was hard for her to accept it at that moment. Later on, after she accepted it, she hated Ju Hanru a lot, but deep in her heart, she had always hoped that Ju Hanru hadn't betrayed her 9 divine kings, and had always been waiting for Ju Hanru's explanation. Little Nona. Chu Yunwei anxiously flew over. Seeing that Chen Shang had pressed him down, he was enraged and wanted to kick him away. If it wasn't for the fact that he was in a grave, he would definitely have kissed it. He made contact with Ju Hanru's gaze, and immediately turned over, allowing Ju Hanru to stand up. Chapter 1911. After Ju Hanru got up, he looked at Chu Yunwei and chuckled, "Yunwei, you're still the same. You must be feeling conflicted right now." With that, Chu Yunwei hugged Ju Hanru tightly in tears. Just a moment ago, she looked extremely fierce, but now, she was as weak as a little girl. "Hurry up and explain, your explanations are not good, I will still kill you." Chu Yunwei cried. Chen Shang rubbed his back, curled his lips, and said, "I'm already in so much pain, and no one cares about me, I didn't even cry." To make a long story short, Ju Hanru told her idea of choosing to be a spy and infiltrate the enemy ranks. But in the end, I was still wrong. I didn't get anything from the highest old devil and spent a lot of time helping him search for the 6 realms mirrors. Ju Hanru softly sighed as he hugged Chu Yunwei. Chu Yunwei had already stopped crying and nodded. "This is not your fault." At that time, the 9 divine kings' influence had already disappeared, so it's understandable that you thought of a way to redeem yourself from doing such a thing. As long as you don't betray 9 divine kings in your heart, it's fine. It was only then that Chu Yunwei remembered Chen Shang, who had helped Ju Hanru block a sword strike, and asked, "Who is this man, and why are you together with him? Furthermore, he has a profound WU clothing." When Chen Shang stepped out to block the sword at this critical moment, he could see that had a good personality and was very concerned about Ju Hanru. It was obvious that the relationship between the two was not ordinary. 9 Heaven Devil Palace was summoned by me. When Chen Shang said this, he was interrupted by him. "It's deities Templar, 9 Heaven Divine Palace." Ju Hanru immediately told Chu Yunwei about Chen Shang, as well as her naming him Ju Hanru. "This guy actually stole what belongs to you." Chu Yunwei frowned as he looked at Chen Shang, "But he's not bad, he's trying to save you with his life." Chen Shang chuckled. "Actually, I have a good relationship with Sister Yujia. She has always been taking care of me." Chen Shang also found it very interesting that the gravekeeper was such a woman. Furthermore, their relationship was very good, just like 2 sisters. "Yunwei, I thought you were already, I didn't expect to see you again." Ju Hanru gently hugged Chu Yunwei again. "I have been here the entire time. Even though the Divine Hall has been sealed, it has not affected me here. Back then, the 9 divine kings told me to stay here and not run around. After all these years have passed, I am still very happy that you suddenly came back." Chu Yunwei giggled. It had been many years since he last saw a living person, and hearing these words made Chen Shang feel weird, as if he was hearing a ghost. The 2 girls had a lot of things to say. Chen Shang sat at the side and played with the god-slaughtering sword, but this Chu Yunwei had stayed here for so long, everything was fine. This showed that this damned place was very safe, so Chen Shang didn't need to be on guard. Chu Yunwei found out from Ju Hanru that he owned the map. She looked at the map that Chen Shang drew and frowned. "This is the map of the Divine Palace at the beginning, it was altered in many other places after that. I have never been to the marked places, I only know that there is a cave there, and there are not many people who know about this cave, even you do not know, it was just by chance that I know about it. At that time, the 9 divine kings told me not to go out, and I can't go in either." Chen Shang said, "How do we get there? The road here has changed greatly." Ju Hanru was puzzled. "I have lived in the Divine Palace for many years, but I did not know that there was a mountain at the back of the Divine King's Hall." Chu Yunwei said, "At that time I was also confused, and only found out later on that there was an extremely profound illusion array, that's why I couldn't see it, I was just able to see through it." "I know the way, let's go now," Ju Hanru said. Chen Shang was already impatient, he felt that he could go to that place and maybe find a way out. He did not want to be trapped in the 9 Heaven Devil Palace. If he did not have the map or Ju Hanru to lead the way, he would have been eaten long ago. "Yunwei, come with us." Ju Hanru pulled Chu Yunwei's hand. "No, I will continue to guard this place. I believe that the 9 divine kings will definitely return." Chu Yunwei shook her head and said to Chen Shang, "Your sword does not have divine deity, let me give you one, this is the most suitable for a divine sword." Chu Yunwei took out a light green divine deity and handed it over to Chen Shang. She also knew that Chen Shang was not an ordinary person and had summoned the 9-heaven devil palace. Chen Shang received it and fused with it with his blood, allowing it to enter the interior of his body. Then, it would pass through his body and fuse into the god-slaughtering sword. The process of fusion had gone extremely smoothly. When the divine deity entered the god-slaughtering sword, the divine soul inside the sword would be awakened. In this way, the god-slaughtering sword would be complete. Haha, Chen Shang poured the 6 realms power into the god-slaughtering sword, causing both Zhu Hanru and Chu Yunwei's expressions to change greatly. The 6 divine lords, the 2 girls shouted in alarm. Long Shuiyi, who was inside the ring, was also shouting in shock, because the aura Chen Shang was releasing right now was just too similar to the 6 divine lords. 6 divine lords? Who was that? Is it the 6 divine kings? Chen Shang retracted his power, as he was completely confused. The 6 divine lords are the same as the heavenly divine lord, they were all exterminated, and the 6 divine lords have also preserved their own small force, namely the 6 realms divine palaces. The 6 realms divine palaces have 6 divine kings, the highest devil god is one of them and the head of the 6 divine kings is the son of the 6 divine lords, he's already gone missing. Zhu Hanru explained. Chu Yunwei nodded her head, the 6 divine lords, 6 divine kings, and 6 divine monarchs are all 3 generations old but they are all missing now. Their most obvious features are the god-killing sword and the 6 realms power. Zhu Hanru sighed. What a pity, the 6 realms divine palace has basically been controlled now, and there is no hope for the 6 divine nations to return to their country. Chen Shang said. There's no hope for us to restore our country, we can just eliminate the other 9 gods' nation and build them back then. How could it be that easy? Even if we don't talk about the 9 divine kings, the 9 nether god Yan Jing couldn't do it back then. Zhu Hanru shook his head. Let's continue walking, we should first go to that place to see what clues 9 divine kings has left. After bidding farewell to Chu Yunwei, Chen Shang continued to follow Zhu Hanru forward. They quickly walked out of the mausoleum group and arrived at a brand new building group. The buildings here were all made from red wood and there were thousands upon thousands of them. Shuiyi told me that back then, there were only 10 divine nations. Why would another 6 divine nations appear now? Chen Shang looked at the gate of the city gate tower at the very front of the group of buildings. Chapter 1912. Zhu Hanru walked under the city gate tower, pushed open the red wooden gate and said, the 6 divine nations were the first to have been annihilated, and at that time, the heavenly divine lord took the opportunity to quickly rise while the other 9 nations were severely injured, and thus became the new 10th divine nations. But not long after, we will be like the 6 divine nations. Long Shuiyi said. Right now, there might already be a new 10th divine nations that has risen up, and the other 9 gods nation are repeating what happened back then, so the 9 gods nation does not pay attention to the gods realm right now, and should be preparing to eliminate the new 10th nation. When Chen Shang and Zhu Hanru walked through the city gate, they saw all sorts of buildings. However, they were empty and cold, like a ghost city. Outside of 9 Heaven Devil Palace, a man dressed in a golden robe suddenly appeared. He held a golden folding fan in his hand, and slowly landed on the pathway that led to the main entrance. Step by step, he walked towards the main entrance of the 9 Heaven Devil Palace. As expected of something created by the Heavenly Divine Lord. It has some skill, even though it was sealed, it was still able to produce such a strong backlash. The man was walking on the road in the middle of the army of skeletons and was actually able to wave the folding fan in his hand. When Chen Shang and the others had entered the house, they had not listened to him at all. After the golden-robed man entered the 9 Heaven Devil Palace, he quickly found the God of Fortune and the others. Only the God of Fortune, the Fire God, the Goddess Palace Leader, the War God Shrine's Master, the Hell Devil Emperor, and the others were still alive. I miscalculated, the Hell Devil Emperor said to the golden-robed man. I don't understand why Chen Shang can summon the 9 Heaven Devil Palace, only Feng Yuji should be able to. The gold-gowned man nodded his head. I also thought it was strange, that's why I came to take a look. Let's go to the Heavenly Divine Palace, the higher-ups ordered me to go there to investigate. For the golden-robed man to be able to enter so easily while also having them be called over, he must be extremely powerful. The War God and the Fire God didn't dare to say anything. They had no choice but to follow. The God of Fortune, the Goddess Palace Leader, and the Hell Devil Emperor clearly knew who this golden-robed man was. After all, they were all puppets. In the future, the 3 of you, listen to my orders. I will take over the affairs of the highest old devil. The gold-gowned man said. After a while, those fellows from the divine prison will come out. It's time to suppress the power that this place has dug up, and those fellows from the divine prison are the best fighters. Needless to tell them, they can suppress the power that has risen up here. The strongest power that rose up from the god's realm was only from the upper heavenly god, so it was very difficult for them to even give birth to a supreme god. This was all because of the suppression from the divine nations which destroyed all the cultivation techniques to the supreme god, and only the supreme divine palace, beast divine palace and 6 realms divine palace possessed them, but these 3 shrines were also infiltrated by the 9 gods nation to such an extent that they were not passed down to outsiders. The Devil Slayer has a very good chance of entering super god realm, so we must stop him. If he becomes too divine, it would be difficult to deal with him. The golden-robed man walked in front. He was actually very familiar with this place. He didn't walk on the path of tombs, but on another path instead. I'll take care of it after I check this out. The golden-robed man looked at the buildings in the distance and said, we are still too late. Someone has already entered the heavenly divine palace. The god of fortune replied, it must be Chen Shang. Chen Shang, this guy summoned the 9 heaven devil palace, and he seems to be very familiar with the place. After Chen Shang and Zhu Hanru entered the heavenly divine palace's buildings, they went straight to the God King's main hall, the place where the 9 divine kings normally gathered the various hall masters for their meetings. The mountain that Chu Yunwei was talking about was the garden at the back of the divine king's hall. This is that garden. Why haven't I seen that mountain? Could it be that we have to break that illusion formation? Zhu Hanru walked in the middle of the garden and gently caressed those colorful flowers. She could smell the fragrance that the flowers released, and no matter how she looked at it, it was very real, and it was hard to imagine that this was all released by the illusory formation. Chen Shang suddenly remembered, after he had merged with all the chaos fire token, other than the map that had rushed into his mind, there were also a large number of spirit grain and array. Those spirit grain. Chen Shang immediately told Zhu Hanru about this. You should be able to break the illusion array if you use those spirit grains to form a formation. Zhu Hanru asked, can you do it? Chen Shang nodded his head. No problem, I just need a bit more time. Zhu Hanru said, all right, this place is safe, you can rest assured. However, just as she finished speaking, her expression changed. She shot to Chen Zhang's side in a single stride, grabbed hold of Chen Shang, and then hid behind a fake mountain. Stop hiding, I know you are here. The golden-robed man arrived quickly, bringing the god of fortune, Hell Devil Emperor and the others with him. Someone actually appeared here, and it was someone that Zhu Hanru was very afraid of. Chen Shang cursed in his heart. Just as he was about to break the array and see the mountain, such a person suddenly appeared. Chen Shang sent a sound transmission to Zhu Hanru. What is this fellow, trapped inside the divine palace in the first place? Zhu Hanru shook his head and replied with a sound transmission, no, he came in from the outside. Although his strength is not as strong as the highest old devils, but his status is very high, and he has the emperor's bloodline in his body. The highest old devil must listen to him. Chen Shang replied, so it's a noble. How strong is he? Zhu Hanru did not answer but chose to think of a way to escape. However, she knew that it would be difficult to escape now. He can't win, he is a god with more than 10 divine deities. To have such strength at such a young age, only the royal families of the divine nations can do it. Chen Shang said, I will start setting up the array now. I will set up the array formation inside the 6 realms mirrors. After it is done, I will control the 6 realms mirrors to shine out. Zhu Hanru nodded his head. As soon as possible, even though this guy is strong, he also wasn't able to see through the illusion array. He released the 6 realms mirrors in the middle of the divine sense sea and started to merge with Long Shui. 4 divine soul were helping him to set up the array inside to break through the illusion array. The golden-robed man led Hell Devil Emperor and the others and gradually approached the fake mountain. When they came to the rear, Chen Shang and Zhu Hanru saw them. However, they did not see Zhu Hanru and Chen Shang. This was all because of the treasure in Zhu Hanru's hands. Gave me this treasure. It can only make us invisible for a period of time. We can't hold on for much longer, you should do it as soon as possible. Zhu Hanru was very anxious in his heart, because once they were discovered, they would be finished. Chapter 1913. Seeing that there was no one here, Hell Devil Emperor asked, young noble, did they already leave? Seeing that there was no one here, Hell Devil Emperor asked, young noble, did they already leave? The golden-robed man shook his head. They haven't left. Their auras are still here, but they've suddenly disappeared. They must have used some sort of magic treasure. If they move, I can sense them. The god of fortune asked, aren't Chen-shang the only one among them? The golden-robed man's eyes were closed, but he had sensed the surroundings. He said, no, there's still the younger Nine girl. I never thought that she had also entered the Nine Heaven Devil Palace. She probably came in very early. She has always known where the Nine Heaven Devil Palace is. Hell Devil Emperor also knew about the younger Nine girl, and they were very familiar with each other as well. Now that the younger Nine girl and Chen-shang had teamed up, he felt angry just thinking about it. This woman, she was the one who lost the Six Realms mirrors back then. If not for her, the Six Realms mirrors would not have fallen into Chen Zhang's hands. Hell Devil Emperor said fiercely. The golden-robed man closed his eyes and said indifferently, don't be angry, the Six Realms mirrors will return to us soon. At that time, both of them will die, and we just need to find them now. Chen-shang and Zhu Hanru could hear their words and became even more anxious. This golden-robed man was truly powerful, and was still able to remain calm even now. It was as if he was extremely confident in capturing them. Chen-shang was speeding up her construction of the array. She had completed a lot of the array, and although Zhu Hanru was anxious in his heart, he did not urge her. She was worried that this would delay Chen Zhang's progress. All right, Chen-shang suddenly heaved a sigh of relief. I can start using it now, but I wonder if it will work. Zhu Hanru also let out a sigh of relief in her heart, but whether or not she could succeed was one thing, so she immediately became nervous again. Chen-shang summoned his Six Realms mirrors, instigating it. He shot out the runes carved into it, and at that moment, the golden-robed man opened his eyes, and the fan in his hand swept out a burst of metal wind towards Chen-shang and Zhu Hanru. Zhu Hanru's reaction was also extremely fast and nimble. She pulled Chen-shang and immediately jumped towards the white light emitted by the Six Realms mirrors, avoiding the golden-robed man's attack. The golden-robed man had also seen the world within the white light and shouted out, this is an illusory magic array. There's a place in the East Hidden Province where they've broken this illusory magic array. After and Zhu Hanru deciphered the illusion array, they arrived at a patch of grass. They were lying on their backs in the grass and could see the tall green mountain in the distance. So dangerous, it's safe now. Chen-shang sat up and laughed out loud. That guy should be unable to break this illusion array. Maybe this was set up by the Heavenly Divine Lord. Zhu Hanru also revealed a charming smile. It must have been set up by Heavenly Divine Lord. Nine Divine Kings' method of laying out the array is not like this. They had finally come to this mysterious place, but Chen-shang and Zhu Hanru were still worried. There was a powerful supreme god outside, and they didn't know if they could find a way out from this place. First, let's see what the Nine Divine Kings is hiding here. No matter how powerful that guy outside is, without a spirit grain that can break the formation, he won't be able to enter for a while. Zhu Hanru had been extremely nervous just now, and she had almost been caught red-handed. The consequences were unimaginable. Zhu Hanru walked towards the big green mountain in the distance. There was a cave there. As Chen-shang followed behind her, he looked at the scenery around him. He felt that this was not just an illusion array, it could be considered a dimension, because this place seemed to be even larger than the entire Heavenly Divine Lord. Deep inside the cave, Chen-shang and Zhu Hanru only saw a small formation plate, and there was nothing else. This formation plate was densely packed with formation patterns, and it was extremely profound and complicated. Zhu Hanru said, let me try and see if I can activate this array disk. Maybe this is the transmission array disk. Whether or not they could get out depended on this small formation plate, otherwise they would be trapped here. Zhu Hanru placed her jade hands on the array disk, secretly activating the mysterious power, but there was no reaction from the array disk. She gradually strengthened the mysterious power, allowing Chen-shang to clearly feel the mysterious power in her body surging out crazily, and pouring into the array disk. A moment later, Zhu Hanru frowned her eyebrows and exclaimed, this formation plate is actually like a bottomless pit. My divine sense see, and the powers from several divine deity were all channeled inside, but there's actually no reaction at all. Chen-shang walked over and tried injecting the Six Realms power into it, but there was no reaction. He frowned and said, could it be that a special method is required to activate this array disk? Chen-shang tried to drip some blood, but there was no reaction. Chaos Fire Token, take out your Chaos Fire Token. Zhu Hanru said, After all 7 Chaos Fire token have been merged by one person, they can all be fused together. Chen Shang took out 7 Chaos Fire tokens, and under his control, they indeed became one. The Chaos Fire token immediately released a burst of white light, and the multicolored light shined on the array disk. A small hole appeared in the center of the array disk, just enough to fit the Chaos Fire token inside. Chen Shang looked at Zhu Hanru and nodded at him. Then, he inserted the Chaos Fire token into that small hole. The formation disk immediately showed a great reaction as it spat out a ray of white light. What made Zhu Hanru excited was that within the white light appeared the silhouette of a middle-aged man. This middle-aged man had a peaceful expression, with long white hair hanging down to his waist. When Chen Shang was in the palace in the Earth's core, he had seen people dressed in such attire. This was one of the 9 divine kings. Great Divine Lord, Zhu Hanru shouted in excitement. Great Divine Lord smiled at her. You should know how foolish your plan is, right? Zhu Hanru was a little hesitant. You guys actually know about it? Great Divine Lord laughed out loud. We didn't know at first, but the guy who replaced you is too stupid. She doesn't even know that we stole her memories. Back then, when Zhu Hanru left the 9 Heaven Divine Palace very early on, she pretended to be on Highest Devil God's side. In order to gain Highest Devil God's trust, she arranged for that fake, May Emperor, to follow him and look for useful information. Furthermore, we deliberately allowed the 9 Heaven Divine Palace to become like this. After the 9 Heaven Divine Palace fell, we were also able to clearly see what those seemingly loyal disciples were thinking in their hearts. We were not surprised at all that they had betrayed us. Great Divine Lord reached out her hand that was made of light and caressed Zhu Hanru lovingly. Zhu Hanru suddenly understood many things, and anxiously said, Yunwei is still outside, could she be in danger? Chapter 1914. Great Divine Lord said, Don't worry, Yunwei is still a child, there's no need to worry about her. Zhu Hanru was very worried, but, the one outside is too godly. Yunwei is not their match, and there will be more in the future. Great Divine Lord laughed. Silly child, do you really think that those corpses buried in those short mountains are the punishment? Do you really think that they are only in seclusion, and that when they wake up after so many years, they will always look at this Yunwei kid? Chen Shang and Zhu Hanru were shocked. It turned out that it was not a group of tombs, but a large number of training rooms. After knowing the truth, Chen Zhang's heart was even more afraid. Zhu Hanru finally understood now that the fall of the 9 Heaven Divine Palace was a trap set up by them. I was just surprised that when someone opened the array disk, I could actually see the younger 9 girl. Great Divine Lord looked at Chen Shang with a benevolent smile on his face, but Chen Shang felt very uncomfortable in his heart. Even though this Great Divine Lord was only in the state of divine sense, he was extremely formidable, and had already seen through him thoroughly. Zhu Hanru stuck out her tongue. Great Divine Lord, the Chaos Fire token that you left behind was obtained by this little demon, and both Big Sister and I know this little demon. The Great Divine Lord said, I left my Chaos Fire token for fated people, he has worked hard to gather them, and has even come here, this has already proven his ability, and you and the Elder 9 girl are both friends with him, that's for the best. But I didn't expect that even the Supreme God Bone I originally left for you, would all be obtained by him. Oh, and the profound WU clothing was also on him, it's a pretty good kid. Quote. Chen Shang laughed and asked, Great Divine Lord, where are you now? Great Divine Lord sighed. We also want to come out now, but we were sealed. Luckily you all came here, otherwise our plans might have been delayed for many years, and we might even have to start from a new plan. At that time, our 9th Heaven's divine nations was destroyed, but a portion of it was preserved by our Royal Father and was refined into this 9 Heaven Divine Palace. In order to protect the foundation of the divine nations, Royal Father refined this 9 Heaven Divine Palace very firmly, but he was still worried. Even Royal Father is at the 9th level. Quote. Zhu Hanru and Chen Shang were both shocked that Heavenly Divine Lord was not dead yet, not only that, he was still alive. Back then, when the 2 Divine Lords joined forces, they were only able to change the structure and layout of the Divine Hall, and even added a few traps, with the intention of trapping us in here to death. Feng Shui said. The Great Divine Lord continued, right now, the only way to contact the outside world is through this formation plate. 9 divine kings could not come out now, which showed how scary this ninefold space was. After Royal Father suffered a great defeat, he was severely injured. In order to preserve his foundation, he ignored the injuries on his body and refined a ninefold space so that we could avoid all the other divine nations and kill them. At this time, Royal Father is still asleep, and we were forced into a corner by the other divine nations, so we had no choice but to enter this final safe zone and wait for Royal Father to wake up. Hearing 9 divine kings' words, Chen Shang and Zhu Hanru both understood that if 9 divine kings wanted to come out of the first ninefold space, only Heavenly Divine Lord would be able to do it. Great Divine Lord, are you saying that we help you all out? Zhu Hanru was a little confused. Even the 9 divine kings couldn't come out, how could they? Great Divine Lord shook his head. No, he's the one who came in and brought us out. The corner of Chen Zhang's mouth twitched. How powerful were the 9 divine kings? They couldn't even come out, so how could he possibly bring them out? I mean, you should go find the other 3 divine weapons first, and then come here. When you enter again, with the help of the 5th divine weapon that I gave you, we will be able to open the gate to the first level of space, and then we can leave. Quote. There was actually a 5th divine weapon, but in the hands of the great divine Lord, these were all refined by the heavenly divine Lord, and could be used as keys at critical moments. When the time comes, I will give you the 5th godly weapon as compensation. The great divine Lord said. Chen Shang immediately agreed, if not Zhu Hanru would never end this. He had obtained Zhu Hanru's supreme god bone, he should shoulder this responsibility and help the 9 divine kings. He had been waiting for this kind of thing to happen, if not he would feel guilty. Zhu Hanru asked, Great Divine Lord, how do we leave this shrine? The shrine is currently sealed by a wave of energy, so we can only enter and not exit. Only the people from divine nations would know how to leave. 9 divine kings looked at the formation plate below him. You can teleport out using this formation plate or you can teleport in at any time. But you can only teleport in the vicinity of the shrine. Chen Shang nodded, and said, after I go out, there might be some trouble, because I have passed Supreme Divine Palace's trial. Supreme Divine Palace wants me to join. Great Divine Lord was very surprised. So powerful, your current strength actually passed Supreme Divine Palace's suicidal trial. This is not a problem. When you join Supreme Divine Palace first, after your strength rises to a certain level, you can then pass through their other trial and leave Supreme Divine Palace. You should be able to do it. Zhu Hanru patted Chen Zhang's shoulders and said, Great Divine Lord, I pretended to rely on them at that time and was arranged to be under highest old devil's command. They told me to look for 6 realms mirrors. What use do they have of 6 realms mirrors? Hearing that, Great Divine Lord's face changed, and asked anxiously, did they find it? This 6 realms mirrors must not fall into their hands. Zhu Hanru glanced at Chen Shang. They have already found the 6 realms mirrors, but when it was being repaired in hell, it was taken away by this little demon. Chen Shang laughed. He still had yet to figure out the main uses of 6 realms mirrors, but it had brought him great benefits. Great Divine Lord also laughed. Now that's good, let's put the matter of the 6 Divine Lord's being saved onto your shoulders. At that time, maybe we, Zhu Shao and the 6s can join hands and come out to fight against the other 9 divine nations s. Chen Shang laughed, all right, I will do my best. Who asked me to obtain these treasures? Great Divine Lord laughed out loud. But you have to get us out first, and then we will settle the matters regarding the 6 paths. In short, after you leave, try your best not to reveal your whereabouts. Even if 9 gods nation knows that you have 6 realms mirrors, the Supreme Divine Palace will try his best to protect you. The Supreme Divine Palace has the power of his Zhu Shao and the 6 paths formation. Chapter 1915. Back then, the 6 divine nations s were the first to be annihilated, and then the position of the 6 divine nations s at the peak of the 9th heaven was immediately destroyed as well. Chen Shang was still a little worried. I heard that Supreme Divine Palace has the power of infiltration. I'm worried that I will be harmed inside. The Great Divine Lord said, there are other divine nations s in the Supreme Divine Palace, but you don't have to worry, there are also several factions within the Supreme Divine Palace. You may not know this, but after the 6s and Zhu Shao were eliminated, a new divine nations appeared and took over the position of the 10th divine nations. So it turns out that the inside of the Supreme Divine Palace was really complicated. Hearing Great Divine Lord's words, Chen Shang became a lot more relieved. He could peacefully stay inside the Supreme Divine Palace for a while. Once you enter the Supreme Divine Palace, if you have the chance to go to the 10th Divine Nations, it would be best if you could connect with that Divine Nations. The Great Divine Lord warned again, when you enter the Supreme Divine Palace, be careful of fellows with black dragon tattoos on their faces. That is the Black Dragon Divine Nations and the main force that seals the 9 Heaven Divine Palace out. Outside of the main entrance of the 9 Heaven Divine Palace were those 2-headed black dragons. Alright, we'll talk about the rest when we meet in the future. Put away the array disk and leave some power to transfer out. With that, the great divine lord disappeared and the array disk closed. At the same time, Chen Shang also had a reaction with the array disk, allowing it to activate. Little Ju Jia, let's go. After I get out, we'll go to Supreme Divine Palace. You go look for Sister Feng. Chen Shang said. Long Shui suddenly shouted. I will go with her, and Ziqian is also going. You can go to Supreme Divine Palace by yourself. Chen Shang wanted to leave, but Chen Shang was naturally reluctant, but he was in favor of it. Long Shui's strength was not bad, and being with LV Kilian and the others, they could help each other, and going to the Supreme Divine Palace was not too dangerous. How is Ziqian now? After Bai Ziqian obtained the inheritance of the ancient poison god king, as long as he could control the ancient poison in her body properly, she would become very strong. It's much better now, and she can already control the ancient poison. Long Shui said, take care of yourself in the Supreme Divine Palace. Of course Chen Shang could take care of himself. He smiled, opened the array disk, and brought Ju Hanru out of Nine Heaven Devil Palace. After he left the Nine Heaven Devil Palace, because he, who had the Chaos Fire token, was not inside, the Nine Heaven Devil Palace immediately disappeared. As for the God of Fortune and the golden-robed man, they probably had to work a bit harder to get out. Little Ju Jia, protect them well. Chen Shang warned Ju Hanru repeatedly because Ju Hanru was very powerful and Long Shui and Bai Ziqian were weak at the moment, especially against gods of that level of power. Ju Hanru knew that Bai Ziqian had the inheritance of the ancient poison, and she was impressed with him as well. He actually dared to touch such a thing, and as for Long Shui, she was already very familiar with him, because he was also one of the ancient divine beasts that had been resurrected in the Nine Divine Kings. Just as Ju Hanru, Long Shui and the others left, Huang Jintian's sky spill transmission array appeared and Huang Jintian teleported over. Master, you came so quickly. Chen Shang was a little surprised. I was using the heaven extended method all day to calculate whether you had really died or not, but I didn't expect to find out that after you finished calculating, you actually left that damn place. How did you get out? That's impossible. I heard that after entering that place, even if you don't die, you won't be able to come out for thousands or even tens of thousands of years. Seeing Chen Shang standing in front of him, Huang Jintian was also very happy as he laughed. Chen Shang laughed. Master, it's not like you don't know that I'm not an ordinary person, so it's not strange for me to be able to come out now, right? Huang Jintian chuckled. Not bad, what's there after entering? Chen Shang shook his head. I didn't get anything, I almost died. Huang Jintian curled his lips and said, you answered it so straightforwardly, you must have lied to me. You must have gotten a lot of rewards from this, worried that I would ask for it, right? Alright, there are, but only some divine deity. For example, that unwearying fighting Dan God's divine deity is in my hands, hee. Chen Shang laughed sinisterly. Even if I gave you these divine deity, you wouldn't dare to take it. Huang Jintian snorted. Of course I dare, it's just that I don't want to cause trouble, so I'll leave these divine deity for you to enjoy. Chen Shang immediately asked about the details. After I summoned the Nine Heaven Devil Palace, did it make any big movements? Huang Jintian sighed. Of course there is, it was extremely fierce, and the first was when the divine prison was destroyed, a large group of villains ran out, devil-killing heavenly god and the penalty heavenly god teamed up to rebuild the devil-killing divine city. The penalty heavenly god did not manage the all-divine palaces, but a strange thing happened to the divine female palace, and their goddess palace leader also ran out from the Nine Heaven Devil Palace. Speaking of the divine female palace, Chen Shang remembered that he had trapped the group of girls that the goddess palace leader had brought with him inside the Six Realms mirrors, and now he had let the girls out. Chen Shang said to the women, your true hall master should be back. The girls did not say anything to Chen Shang and quickly left. Huang Jintian continued to speak. I've already checked, after the ice and snow in the super god restricted area has subsided, it really can lead to the Nine Heaven world. Right now, all the halls are getting restless, planning to divide up a bit of the Nine Heaven world's territory, but Feng Yuji and the other girls are actually in the Nine Heaven world. Furthermore, Feng Yuji has a special power which allows him to control the operation of the Nine Heaven world. He gathered all of his divine power in one place, which resulted in the shrines in the territory of the Nine Heaven world not having any divine power at all. The scariest thing is that many of the resources can be moved and all gathered in Feng Yuji's territory. Chen Shang laughed. Feng Yuji is after all, the Nine Heavens goddess, the master of the Nine Heaven world. It seems that she has already reached a certain realm and can control the Nine Heaven world. Huang Jintian took out his ancient book, and began to record some things in it. He recited. Not long after Chen Shang entered the Nine Heaven Devil Palace, he came out. Just as he finished recording these, a white light appeared in the sky above him, and an old man slowly descended. This was the elder that Chen Shang met when he first entered the Supreme Divine Palace. Enough, it's about time to enter the Supreme Divine Palace. You can also hide inside. The white-robed old man said. After the white-robed elder finished speaking, he looked at the ancient book in Huang Jintian's hands and said in shock, Tianyan God Record, are you really an old man who won't die? Huang Jintian was indeed an old fool, he said. You also know Heaven Extended Method, how could you find this brat so quickly? Who exactly are you? You know me. The last time Huang Jintian and Devil-Killing Heavenly God were outside Super God Restricted Area, they had met the white-robed old man. At that time, the white-robed old man did not have such an expression. Of course I recognize you. Have you always carried this book with you? The white-robed elder anxiously asked. Obviously Huang Jintian's identity was extraordinary, to actually be able to cause the elder of the Supreme Divine Palace to be so surprised. Chapter 1916. In the past, Long Shui had said that Huang Jintian's identity was extremely special and mysterious, because that ancient book of his had recorded many important matters from a long time ago. And now, the elder of the Supreme Divine Palace had revealed the name of this ancient book, Tianyan God Record. However, Huang Jintian seemed to have lost his memories. There were some things that he couldn't remember at all, and had to use the Tianyan God Record book to recall some things. The white-robed old man came to Huang Jintian's side, but Huang Jintian quickly kept his Tianyan God Record. I don't even know you, how did you know me? Huang Jintian continued to ask. Are you trying to deceive my Tianyan God Record? The old man looked at the blue sky, his eyes full of memories. The first time I saw you, you were still a young man. I was very young then, and you were also one of my most respected warriors. Chen Shang was secretly surprised. The white-robed elder was an important elder in the Supreme Divine Palace, his power must be very strong, and he must have reached an age where he could easily respect Huang Jintian. The origins of this Huang Jintian had already exceeded Chen Zhang's expectations. Back then when he met Huang Jintian was merely a strong, old madman who had an unlimited lifespan. At that time, no one knew where he came from. Huang Jintian frowned. How come I don't have an impression? Was I really that awesome in the past? My amnesia was actually that serious. The white-robed old man laughed. Senior, you are not losing your memories right now, it is only the curse of your clan. Every so often, your clan will encounter a calamity, and if you fail to pass this calamity, your memories will be lost, and even your cultivation will be scattered. However, the Tianyan God Record and Heaven Extended Method will always remain in your mind. So long has passed, according to your current strength, after at least 10 more trials and tribulations, undead race will never die, and his divine soul will not disperse. Even if his body is destroyed, his divine soul will self-activate the Heaven Extended Method to recreate his body and then rebirth. Huang Jintian was surprised. You're right, I thought that only I knew about this kind of thing. I was very excited before, because I thought that I would be facing my first tribulation, but I didn't expect that I had already experienced it more than 10 times. The old man in white said doubtfully, that's not right. I remember back then when you didn't go through the tribulation, you were close to the God King. At that time, I guessed that you started your tribulation at the realm of the God King and you are now just a god. Chen Shang thought as if he were looking at Huang Jintian. He never thought that this crazy master of his would actually be a divine king, and have experienced the kind of tribulation that would force him to go back to his original world more than 10 times. Huang Jintian saw Chen Zhang's look of despise and looked over, and shook his head. That's impossible, how could I not get over it 10 times in a row? I'm not that bad, you must have recognized the wrong person, don't call me senior. The white-robed old man said anxiously, I will not be wrong. You are the only one left in undead race, but undead race cannot reproduce. At that time, there were only 5 of you, and the other 4 are already dead. Huang Jintian laughed. I already said that the undead race was eternal and indestructible, and now that I said that the other 4 are all dead, what nonsense are you spouting? Huang Jintian found it hard to accept his failure over 10 times in a row, especially in front of Chen Shang, his disciple. Although he would usually do many shameless things, he was extremely shameless when it came to this matter. The white-robed old man shook his head and sighed. Senior, although the people of the undead race are immortal, there is a prerequisite, that is, when the undead race is only one person, because only the undead race can use the heaven-extended method to kill the undead race. Chen Shang immediately thought of something extremely cruel. His heart jumped as he anxiously asked, "Are you saying that I killed the other 4 clansmen?" The white-robed old man shook his head. "No, you only killed one. Because one of the 5 undead races suddenly went crazy and planned to kill all 4 of you so that he would never die. So he first killed the other 3, then found you, and then you killed him." Huang Jintian was still able to accept such a result, and nodded. "This feeling is really bad, my past is actually being told to me by someone else." Sigh. The white-robed old man laughed. "Senior, I heard my master say that if undead race fails multiple times during tribulation and there is a chance for it to succeed, then all the memories and a portion of the power would return. Furthermore, there won't be another tribulation like this in the future." Chen Shang patted Huang Jintian's shoulder, and laughed. "Master, you're so weak, you can't even pass over 10 times. Serves you right for coming back so many times, ha ha ha." Huang Jintian's face immediately darkened as he angrily knocked on Chen Zhang's head. However, he discovered that Chen Zhang's head was actually extremely hard, to the point that his hands were hurting. "Brat, I'm about to pass my tribulation. Once I pass it, you'll know how powerful I am. Younger generation, how should I address you? Were we familiar with you in the past?" Huang Jintian had already accepted his identity. Although he was not as strong as the white-robed elder in front of him, he could only reluctantly admit it since the other party had already called him senior. "Junior Yi Baidong, I wonder what senior's name is." This Yi Baidong actually still didn't know Huang Jintian's name. Huang Jintian asked, "Did you not know my name in the past?" "What was my previous name?" Yi Baidong shook his head. "I don't know, you were always so secretive before, we all called you the Old Immortal." Chen Shang laughed. "Old Undying Senior, that's a good title." Huang Jintian immediately glared at him, causing Chen Shang to laugh and say, "My master's name is Huang Jintian, he is nicknamed Old Madman. It looks like he is often crazy because of the confusion in his memories." Yi Baidong said to Chen Shang, "You and I have an agreement to stay in Supreme Divine Palace. Right now, it's about time, come back with me." The fact that Chen Shang possessed a 6 realms mirrors was already known by the Hell Devil Emperor, and it quickly spread to the highest old devil. "Alright, let's go now." Chen Shang could no longer wait to go to the Supreme Divine Palace. Yi Baidong looked at Huang Jintian and asked, "Senior, do you want to go to Supreme Divine Palace for a seat? I can make the decision to let you stay there for a while." Huang Jintian laughed. "Since you have kindly invited me, I will not refuse. Let's go." Chapter 1917. Huang Jintian was very curious about the Supreme Divine Palace. He had wanted to go in to take a look a long time ago, so he said to Chen Shang proudly, "Brat, you risked your life to enter the Supreme Divine Palace. I only needed a few words to get in." Chen Shang curled his lips and replied, "Master, as long as you don't continue to fail in the upcoming calamity, or else you'll have to go back and reconstruct it. But since you've come back so many times, it's not like you're lacking this time." Huang Jintian grabbed Chen Shang and gave him a few more blows, but they always made his hands hurt, and he had to brave all the way to catch up with Chen Shang, the little pervert. He thought that only by passing through the tribulation successfully would he be able to quickly surpass Chen Shang, and only then would he be able to make Chen Shang cry out in pain. Seeing that Huang Jintian was able to return with him, Yi Baidong was extremely happy. He then laughed and watched as the master and disciple played around, took out an array disc, and brought Chen Shang and Huang Jintian to Supreme Divine Palace. The Supreme Divine Palace was located in a different space than the God's realm. Only the array disc or someone who was familiar with the location could open the spatial tunnel and teleport here. Huang Jintian and Chen Shang appeared in a huge hexagonal plaza. The plaza was currently empty, with only a few pieces of broken weapons. The gigantic plaza could hold hundreds of thousands of people, so Chen Shang and Huang Jintian could feel quite a few remnants of powerful auras from the plaza. The plaza was surrounded by a large number of stone buildings. There were an extremely large number of them. It was a city that could not be seen at a glance. Chen Shang had already seen Heavenly Divine Palace before, one that was even more shocking and grandiose than this, so he didn't feel anything, because this place was much worse than the Heavenly Divine Palace. "Chen Shang, go and understand the halls here first, then consider which one to join." Once you've decided on it, you can tell me, I'll arrange it for you. Just as Yi Baidong finished speaking, Chen Shang immediately asked, are there any Dan halls? He had already known that there was a Supreme Sword Hall here. He thought that the Supreme Sword Hall was probably one of the strongest halls here. Yes, but we need to know how to refine Shengpin Holy Dan before we can join. Furthermore, everyone can only join one hall, and the number of people in Dan Hall is the fewest. Of course Yi Baidong knew that Chen Shang had heavenly alchemy and knew how to refine pills. Chen Shang laughed. No problem, just let me join the Dan Hall. Yi Baidong nodded his head and took out a jade talisman to send a message. Soon enough, a hunchbacked old man came out. He was leaning on a blue walking stick, laughing as he looked at Chen Shang. Come with me, welcome to Dan Hall. Chen Shang asked with some doubt, do you not need to take any tests? The hunchbacked old man laughed. No need, you have cultivated the heavenly alchemy. Even if you are still unable to refine a Shengpin Holy Dan, we will definitely be able to teach you how to refine it in the future. Yi Baidong said, he's the hall master of the Dan Hall, you should follow him. Chen Shang followed the hunchbacked old man and left with Yi Baidong. You just came to the Supreme Divine Palace, so you're not familiar with the rules here, but don't worry, the rules here aren't too complicated. First, you can't fight in private, and secondly, you can't steal the Divine Hall's property. The hunchbacked old man laughed. I am the Hall Master of the Dan Hall, and one of the elders of the Supreme Divine Palace. My name is Luo Tianjin, you can just call me Hall Master. Chen Shang nodded. Hall Master. Luo Tianjin brought Chen Shang and entered the buildings. After walking for a while, they arrived at a large courtyard, and upon entering, Chen Shang immediately sensed the thick smell of sultry medicine, especially that wave of pure fire energy. He could tell that there were quite a few alchemists' refining pills. Chen Shang said, Hall Master, right now, I can already refine Shengpin Holy Dan S, but I can only refine a few. I have concocted the pill formulas myself, and I can only use my own method to do so. Luo Tianjin was a little surprised, and said, when you use the heavenly alchemy to refine pills, the method is indeed different. This way, I can only teach you a little about pill refining, because I do not know about the heavenly alchemy. Back then, I had the chance to learn it before, but because the beginning was too difficult, I gave up. Chen Shang laughed. Hall Master only needs to provide me some pill formulas. After arriving at the Supreme Divine Palace, Chen Shang could concentrate on concocting pills. Shengpin Holy Dan S were of little use to him, and it would be much easier for him to refine a Holy Core King like the Purple Profound Dan now. You really can refine Shengpin Holy Dan. Even though Luo Tianjin asked this, he believed completely in his heart. He just wanted to see how Chen Shang used the heavenly alchemy to refine Shengpin Holy Dan. Chen Shang had refined it many times. Back then, most of the Shengpin Holy Dan in LV Kilian's shop were refined by him, and he had become extremely familiar with them. Hall Master, do you want to take a look? Chen Shang laughed lowly. I can refine a cauldron for you to see now. Alright, I believe you. Don't refine it now. Wait for the time when you will compete with the other halls before refining it. I will help you fight for a spot in the competition. At that time, I will help you fight for a place in the competition, and then you will have a good performance, and also, try your best not to speak of all the interesting things that happened outside. The little imps in Supreme Divine Palace do not know. Luo Tianjin pointed to a room in the courtyard. That's your residence. You can stay here and chat with the other senior brothers. After the hall master left, Chen Shang walked into a room with the thickest medicinal smell. There were 3 white-haired old men concocting pills inside. Now, Chen Shang understood why Luo Tianjin said that there was only senior brother here. So it was all here to refine pills. All of them were old men like him, and their strengths were also strong. All of them were middle or upper heavenly goddess. Seniors, I'm new, Chen Shang shouted softly. These elderly people looked very similar to each other. Their hair was as long and as white as usual. You're a newcomer. Do you need to clean the floor or do you need to do some chores? I'll give you a few pills after we finish concocting the pills. I'm the best here, an old man said. The other 2 elders immediately refused to accept this and began to argue with him. Soon, they began to argue with each other. Are you guys refining a divine pill? Chen Zhang's eyes lit up, laughing. I haven't consumed a divine pill before, I really want to try it immediately. They seemed to be the 3 brothers. The elder brother had 3 rings, the second brother had 2, and the youngest brother only had 1. The boss replied, I must be the fastest to refine it. I'm the fastest to refine a supreme Dan bead in this hall. You guys are way too lacking compared to me. It wasn't that Chen Shang hadn't consumed a divine pellet, it was just that the divine pellets he had consumed before were made using divine deity and not this kind of traditional divine pellet. He wanted to see how much effect these godly pills had on him. Chapter 1918. Chen Shang waited patiently in this simple and crude pill refining room. Although the three brothers always seemed to like to quarrel, they had an extremely good relationship with each other. Otherwise, they wouldn't have spent so much time together. Through questioning, Chen Shang found out that the three brothers were surnamed Ji-Yu and didn't have a name. They all called them oldest Ji-Yu, Ji-Yu Lao-er and Ji-Yu Lao-san. Brat, I really didn't know that you were concocting pills. You should be going to a supreme palace like the Sword Hall at such a young age. Coming to the Dan Hall is simply a waste of life, you can only concoct pills all day. Oldest Ji-Yu laughed. When we were young, we had requested for the hall master to recruit a few girls. It's just that this guy doesn't have any charm, so this has always been the case for us here. Chen Shang smiled speechlessly and asked, how many alchemists do we have? Second brother Ji-Yu laughed heartily, how many do you think there are? Out of the three of us, including the pavilion master and you, there are only 5. This was outside of Chen Zhang's expectations. Back then, when he was competing with Song Peng in the sword competition, the disciples in the profound god were more or less, they dressed in uniform and lined up in an orderly manner. And this Dan Hall only had them. Seeing Chen Zhang's expression, Ji-Yu Lao-san said, the two of you aren't young anymore, so stop teasing this little fellow. You're called Chen Shang, right? To tell you the truth, there are a total of 20 Dan Halls and we are the 10th hall of the Supreme Dan Hall. However, our strength is second. Chen Shang was still a little surprised. There were 20 in the Dan Hall, but there were only 5 people in their 10th hall. Are the other Dan Hall in the same situation? Chen Shang asked. After all, there were too few who knew how to refine pills, and the requirements to enter the Dan Hall were very high. We have a medium number of people. There are at least 2 old ghosts in the 20th hall, and there are at least 10 old ghosts in the hall. The oldest Ji-Yu said, usually, those who enter the Dan Hall are from Sword Hall, Boxing Hall and Soul Hall. In the later stages of the examination, they are interested in refining pills, and since this path is rather smooth, they are able to enter it through the trial. Chen Shang still did not understand much about the division of the Supreme Palace in the Supreme Divine Palace, so he asked, are there only these 4 in the Supreme Divine Palace? Generally speaking, it is said that the Sword Hall, Boxing Hall, Soul Hall and the Dan Hall are the 4 supreme halls. And in order to join the Hall of Elders and the Hall of Protectors, one would normally have to achieve great things in the 4 Great Supreme Hall, and obtain the information of the Elders and the Protectors. Only then would one have the qualification to enter the trial. Chen Shang was extremely clueless about Supreme Divine Palace, and the 3 brothers could see that they were very patient in explaining themselves. To them, it was better than wasting their time arguing. Sword Hall and Boxing Hall can be said to be the strongest, with the largest number of people. Sword Hall mainly cultivates the way of the sword, while Boxing Hall mainly cultivates fist arts. Hearing about the Soul Hall afterwards, Chen Shang was very interested. He could actually change the powerful beast soul into his own life divine soul, which could save him the time to condense his soul. Chen Shang was full of curiosity, and asked closely, doesn't that mean that Soul Hall will be able to condense more divine soul very easily? Sword Hall nodded his head. That's right, Sword Hall and Boxing Hall, including the gods of our Dan Hall, will go talk to them about divine soul when it's about time, give them a certain compensation, and then hunt for beast spirits himself, get the Soul Hall to help them change them, and help them integrate into the divine sense C. This way, they will only need to condense one divine deity to break through. To enter the Sky God realm, one would need to condense a lot of divine soul to break through. Right now, Chen Shang had 2 souls and 2 divine deity, which was only the lower gods. Possessing 10 divine deity, he would be able to become a god. Although our Dan Halls normally don't feel any presence, when the disciples of the other halls need to go out, they have to find us to buy healing pellets to cure their wounds and detoxify. Otherwise, none of them would dare to walk around rashly. Ji-Yu Lao-san said. Chen Shang would never regret joining because staying here would allow him to calm his heart and refine pills. Just refining a high-level divine pill would allow him to have a certain amount of power and position. Seniors, what divine pills are you refining? Chen Shang also took a look at their pill furnaces. Inside, there was a strange qi, that kind of qi could only be felt by beasts. he suspected that the three brothers were using their divine beasts to refine pills. It is called the Spirit Transformation Divine Pill, and it is something that you will refine with the divine soul of a divine beast. After you eat it, you will be able to turn your divine soul and divine deity into the divine beasts for a period of time, and also possess the divine beast's innate divine ability. Quote, "What we are currently refining is this kind of pellet. This is the material given to us by the people from Soul Hall. At most, they will have this kind of lower quality god beast soul and divine deity." Chen Shang replied, "No wonder there's the aura of a beast. I thought you guys were using divine beasts to refine pills." Old Ji smiled, "When we're done, I'll let you have a taste of all of them. I'll let you try out the wonders of this pill. This is a divine pill recipe that our hall master just created." Chen Shang asked, "Do you want to eat all three of them at once?" "I only have 2 divine deities." Oldest Ji nodded. "Yes, eat it all in one go. If someone's pills are good, then their divine soul will temporarily become a beast spirit. Also, at that time, it would be best if you can sense the person's pills." They had started refining before Chen Shang came here. The 3 of them were all pill gods, but they had all mocked themselves as unranked pill gods. In their eyes, only hall masters were considered as pill gods. "What I'm refining is a wolf, second brother is refining an eagle, and third brother is refining a bear." The oldest Ji said, "We are about to finish refining it, you should write it down." Chen Shang nodded, he was secretly looking forward to it in his heart. This kind of pill was indeed very interesting. After half a day passed, oldest Ji was indeed the first to be made. He had said a few times before that he would definitely be the first to complete it. When he opened the pill furnace, he looked at his 2 younger brothers with disdain. Although this is a shopping dan, there are times when it can be compared to Zongpin dan, and the difficulty of refining it is also lower than Zongpin dan. "Little junior brother, look at my soul transformation pill, its quality is high. It is much better than the furnace that the hall master used last time." Oldest Ji handed the gray pill in his hand to Chen Shang. Chen Shang took the pill and scrutinized it closely. The quality was indeed very good, and he had only refined this divine pill for a day and a half. Chapter 1919. Oldest Ji told Chen Shang not to eat it first. After his 2 little brothers finished refining the pills, they would eat 3 of the pills together. Only then would they be able to differentiate the effects. Chen Shang was secretly pleased. He had only just joined the 10th Dan Hall and he had already received such a great treatment, so he was prepared to eat 3 divine pellets. More than 2 hours later, Ji Lao and Ji Lao San also successfully refined a soul transformation pill. The quality was the same as the oldest Gu's, high quality, but their speed was much slower than the oldest Gu's. Oldest Ji was extremely proud. "It looks like the quality is the same, but as long as I'm even a little stronger than you guys, I will show it to this little brat. You guys just wait and admit defeat." Both Ji Lao San and Ji Lao San did not think much of it. They thought that the oldest Gu's speed would be inferior to theirs in terms of quality. "Chen Shang, quickly eat it and have a look, make this oldest Ji accept his defeat wholeheartedly." Old Ji said to Chen Shang. Chen Shang was actually using his spirit essence to look at these 3 pellets. He was surprised to see a huge ferocious wolf, a huge blue hawk, and an enormous black bear the size of a mountain. If it was in the past, Chen Shang would definitely think that the quality of these 3 pellets was not good, otherwise he wouldn't have clearly seen so many things with his source spirit eyes. However, he was sure that the quality of these 3 pellets and the pellets were of high quality. In the past, he definitely wouldn't have been able to see those things with his source spirit eyes. After he becomes a god, the methods he uses inside the heavenly alchemy will also increase greatly. Chen Shang was also very happy at the moment. He felt that he can almost refine this god-transforming pellet as long as he had sufficient ingredients. "I'll eat it, don't lie to me." Chen Shang was still a little worried about taking 3 of these divine pellets in one go. "Don't worry, I won't lie to you. Last time, there was a fellow with 7 souls who ate 8 pills at once." Oldest Ji laughed. "Hurry up and eat it, I want to see the expressions of these 2 guys who have lost. Although I have already seen them many times, I can't get tired of looking at them." In a single breath, Chen Shang swallowed all 3 of the soul transformation pellets, allowing the effects to quickly show up. A burst of wolf and hawk sounds suddenly sounded out from inside his body, which meant that his 2 souls had merged with wolves and eagles, while Shang's did not fully manifest. "Oh well, 3 lost." Oldest Ji laughed heartily. Old Ji San curled his lips and said, "But you haven't won yet. Don't be happy. Immediately after, Chen Shang felt his arms heat up and even swell. He looked down, and almost cursed out loud, because a layer of fur had appeared on his arms and his hands had become the claws of a wolf. Even his chest had started to grow gray fur. Chen Shang felt that he was about to turn into a werewolf, and the sudden burning sensation behind his back made his heart jump again. He felt that something had popped out from the two bones behind his back. It was actually a pair of blue wings. How could this be? Chen Shang never thought that he would undergo a transformation. He thought that he would only be able to obtain the innate abilities of these divine beasts, but his body had actually turned into this. Don't be afraid, it's not like you can't change back. Wait until the effects of the pill come back. Don't you think that it's a lot better than dying? Oldest Gu laughed. You have more wolves on you, and the falcon only has a pair of wings, so I won again this time. Chen Zhang's upper body had changed a lot, while the lower half of his body only had changes to his calves. Their strength has indeed increased by a great deal. These god beasts don't have the power of their innate divine abilities, right? Why can't I feel it? Chen Shang looked at his own divine soul and realized that his divine soul had also become like his own body, with a portion of his wolf body and a pair of blue eagle wings. Head. Seeing Luo Tianjin coming back, 3 Gu brothers shouted together. Chen Shang turned around and saw the hunchbacked old man Luo Tianjin had a smile on his face. He laughed bitterly. Hall master, I have turned out like this. Luo Tianjin laughed. It's all right, don't you have that cultivation technique? If you can't use it, I will help you with it. Chen Shang understood what Luo Tianjin meant and immediately used the heavenly alchemy to refine the medicinal force. His body quickly recovered, which surprised 3 Gu brothers, and she curiously asked Chen Shang what technique he used, but Luo Tianjin said that it was a secret. Luo Tianjin did not want too many people in the Supreme Divine Palace to know Chen Zhang's identity, so he would try his best to keep it a secret. Looks like you guys got along pretty well. You 3 old brats, don't bully the young. He's pretty good at alchemy, you guys have to help each other in the future. Luo Tianjin laughed. The oldest Gu immediately patted Chen Zhang's shoulder and said, how could we bully him? Although the soul transformation pellet that we refined earlier was a shopping dan, it was still quite expensive. It's been so many years since our 10th hall only had a single brat join. Of course, we wouldn't bully him. Second brother Gu laughed. Luo Tianjin nodded. Then I won't worry anymore. In the future, just leave the matter of buying medicinal ingredients to Chen Shang and let him familiarize himself with the sovereign god realm. Ji Lao San asked in shock. Chen Shang is not from our sovereign god realm. Luo Tianjin nodded his head. He came in from outside. Although he is younger than you, he has more experience and knowledge than you. You can ask him about the matters outside. Chen Shang had already guessed that this supreme divine palace was in a small world, and there were many ordinary people in this small world, and Penalty Heavenly God had lived in this sovereign divine realm for a while. When 3 Gu brothers heard that Chen Shang had come in from the outside, he immediately looked at Chen Shang with eyes of admiration. They all clearly knew how terrifying that trial was and how no one had ever passed it before. Little junior brother, this is something that we have to do tomorrow. There is a map and Shenyuan stone inside. If you want to walk around these places, see if any mortals in the sovereign god realm have found any divine medicines. Ji Lao San gave a storage bag to Chen Shang. Chen Shang asked, are you using a Shenyuan stone to buy it? How's the price normally? I don't understand these things. Luo Tianjin said, usually, these mortals only possess low-grade divine medicine. Normally speaking, out of the 5,000 Shenyuan stone, if there is a middle-grade one, it would be increased by 10 times. Chen Shang nodded his head. How did you get these Shenyuan stone? He took out one pellet from the storage bag that was the size of a corn seed. It was golden in color, and each pellet was the same size. Luo Tianjin opened his palm. There was also a stone in his hand that was the size of a corn seed. It was just that it was transparent. He said, when there is this kind of stone, I will use the secret method to pay attention to the mysterious power, but when there is enough mysterious power, it will turn golden, and I can use it to buy things. We can also use this kind of Shenyuan stone, because it's filled with pure mysterious power, and it works the best when used in combination with pills during closed-door cultivation. As for ordinary people, eating this kind of Shenyuan stone, they can also strengthen their body, allowing them to live longer. Chapter 1920. Chen Shang felt that he wouldn't be able to create this Shenyuan stone because he didn't have a mysterious power. Alright, I'll go tomorrow. There was a map in his mind. Tomorrow, he would leave the Supreme Divine Palace and go out to investigate. He would ask the villagers on the map to see if they had managed to get any divine medicines. The growth rate of the divine medicine inside the sovereign god realm is still very fast. Sometimes, it's just like a mushroom that these villagers are unable to cultivate. Usually, they rely on harvesting the divine medicine and selling it to us in exchange for Shen Yuan stone to extend their lifespan. Oldest Gu said, you should be a bit more polite when you go. Don't be like these guys, who are always ferocious, or else the next time you go, they won't sell it to you. Luo Tianjin added. Other than the 20 Dan Hall S, other Sword Hall S, Boxing Hall S and Soul Hall S will also frequently be bought, so sometimes, even if you go out for a trip, you won't be able to obtain much. If you have a good relationship with the villagers, they will leave it for you and won't sell it to anyone else. Chen Shang was extremely happy in his heart. The fact that the divine medicine within the sovereign god realm could grow so quickly was a heavenly blessing to him. The villagers do not have much strength. If they were to go harvest these divine medicines, wouldn't they encounter danger? Here, the number of Zongpin medicine are not many. Chen Shang had already memorized the map. At that time he would have to go to 3 villages and visit over 10 families. These 3 villages were all near the Supreme Divine Palace. Perhaps because he had just arrived, he did not plan for him to go to any further places. Luo Tianjin said, only those Zongpin medicines who are harvested are in danger. Those divine beasts usually do not care about the low-grade divine medicine, and we will sometimes buy clues about the middle-grade or Shengpin medicine from the villagers. You do not need to do this right now. We've just concocted a batch of pills, we're going to take a break. We still have to deal with the rest of the people in the other halls tomorrow. We have to get up our spirits tonight and scold them to death tomorrow. Oldest Gu Yondan went back to his room. After the 3 Gu brothers left, Luo Tianjin smiled and said, tomorrow, they will actually go to discuss about the Tao of Alchemy with the other Dan Hall S, but they will generally all turn into scolding battles. It has been like this for so many years. Go and rest, you will have to go through a lot of trouble tomorrow. Chen Shang nodded and returned to his room to rest. He took out the Shen Yuan stone. He felt that those divine nations should be constructed in a space that was cut off from the god's realm just like the sovereign god realm. On the second day, Chen Shang left the Supreme Divine Palace very early. When he was about to leave, the Supreme Divine Palace gave him a plate. Upon his return, he needed to return the plate to prove his identity. The Supreme Divine Palace was built in the middle of the forest. The moment he walked out of the Supreme Divine Palace's gate, he saw a large road that led straight to the forest in front of him. On both sides of the road, there were green trees and birds chirping on them, adding to the tranquility of the morning. Chen Shang took a deep breath of the morning air, and with a cheerful heart, he sprinted towards the first village. Even though this village was close to the Supreme Divine Palace, it took Chen Shang at least an hour to sprint. If it was an ordinary person walking, it would take at least 2 to 3 days. The village had a few thousand people and it was not considered small. Furthermore, there was a small market in the village, and it was also the busiest time in the morning. Here, Chen Shang saw extremely ordinary mortals, and they were not even immortals. However, they lived a very long life because they had harvested divine medicine in exchange for Shen Yuan stone S. This allowed them to have a lifespan of over 1,000 years, or even over 10,000 years. Chen Shang arrived at the first house on the map, but there was no one at home. He waited for less than an hour before deciding to head to the next house. When he came to this house, he was told that they had already sold the things he had stepped on the previous day. Luo Tianjin had already told him of this earlier, so he was mentally prepared as he continued to move on to the next house. Very quickly, he passed by several households in this small village, but failed to find anything. He could only go to the next village. When it came to the second village, they also didn't find anything. When he arrived at the third village, he had only asked the first household for good news. The old man told him to wait a bit longer. His son had already left and was going to return very soon. Not long later, Chen Shang saw a young man returning in high spirits. When he saw the aura coming off Chen Zhang's body, he knew that he was from Supreme Divine Palace. This is called the purple spirit grass. Look at the root of this plant, it has already formed a purple spirit fruit so it can be used to refine pills. I must have matured this morning, so I went to pick it early in the morning. The young man smiled and showed the purple yuan divine grass to Chen Shang. These villagers were relatively familiar with the divine medicine, which surprised Chen Shang. He nodded. 5,000 Shenyuan stone. Very quickly, Chen Shang made a deal. He did not come here for nothing today. After all, his storage bag still had 45,000 Shenyuan stone left, so he had to find the remaining families. He had come to the village anyway. Chen Shang came to the fence of a wooden house. Inside the fence, there was a cute 7 or 8-year-old little girl farming the vegetable fields, and when she saw Chen Shang, she could also tell that Chen Shang was from Supreme Divine Palace. Big brother, are you here to buy some divine medicine? The little girl used her clear and melodious voice to shout. It was extremely pleasant to hear. Yes, does your family have one? Chen Shang asked with a smile. The little girl opened the gate of the fence and invited Chen Shang in very politely. This well-behaved and sensible little girl was very charming. Chen Shang took out a fruit and gave it to her. Eat, it's just an ordinary fruit. Chen Shang saw that the little girl wanted to refuse and immediately laughed. Where is your master? The little girl smelled the fragrance from the fruit and couldn't help but to say, thank you big brother, my grandma went out to buy things for me to eat, she will be back soon. At this time, it was already noon, and she had been busy the whole morning's farming work. The little girl was also extremely hungry, as she held the fruit that Chen Shang had given her and nibbled on it, while smiling and saying that it was very sweet. The little girl's skin was somewhat dark, and she looked to be extremely healthy. She was dressed very simply, and as she helped braid a long braid, it fell onto her chest, and her little face was round and cute. At this moment, as she ate the fruit, she looked at Chen Shang with her beautiful eyes that carried a sweet smile, as if thanking him for giving her such a delicious fruit. Just as the little girl was eating sweetly, a few people suddenly came from outside the fence. The little girl was extremely scared and quickly hid behind Chen Shang, exposing her head. When Chen Shang saw these people, he was slightly shocked, because he recognized them, and one of them was Song Peng. Other than this, there was also the sword hall's hall master that he had provoked previously. The little girl clearly disliked them, and she was also a bit scared, so she didn't sell them the medicine. They must have done something bad to the family of the little girl, or else this simple and sensible little girl wouldn't have such a reaction. Chen Zhang's heart was immediately set ablaze. The villagers here were all simple and honest people, but in order to obtain the divine medicine, these people must have secretly intimidated the villagers, which made him extremely angry.